Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Last American Pubcast, the pubcast where everybody knows your name, or at least we pretend to. I'm PJ, and with me tonight, as always, is Tom from America Floats. How's it going, Tom?
Ahoy, hello, good to see you. I think I know your names.
Yeah, I think I know your name. You are at the bottom of the screen.
Wow.
Abigail, I think.
My name's right here.
We have Abby from Conspiracy Pilled, my co-host over there. How's it going, Abby?
Good, how are you?
Good. And a quick little explanation. Sorry, we're running a few minutes late. Our first story just had a break in it, literally 10 minutes or 20 minutes before we were going to go live. So we're catching up on that and making sure we had all the context to bring to you guys. This is our first night of our new Thursday night show. As you probably noticed that it's not Saturday, because I'm pretty sure you watching are smart enough to figure that out on your own. But just wanted to explain if people are like, why are they coming up live on Thursday? Because we switched to Thursdays. So.
Yeah, it's a better night to entertain, to talk, and honestly, frankly, it frees up your weekends and ours. And if you really want to have a Saturday show, you'll have one from a couple nights prior on a Thursday.
Absolutely, yeah. So first Thirsty Thursday, guys. How's your week?
No, we're not calling it that.
I'm calling it that for.
Eventually, it will be that.
Why not? Yeah.
For why not?
Because I'm thirsty and it's
No.
Thursday, and that's enough reason for me. But.
Oh boy.
How's your week, man,
Oh
Abby?
boy.
Oh boy. Thirsty Thursday.
Hey, Abby, before you tell us about how your week was, I like your tank top. Where did you find that?
This tank top can be found at the Last American Pubcast merch store, and it says McCarthy was right.
Very nice.
All
Joe
right.
McCarthy was right. We see that now more than ever.
Yeah,
So true,
absolutely.
so true.
So yeah. Anyway, no idea what we're going to talk about tonight. Nothing's been going on for the last
Yeah, nothing at all.
36 hours or something
Dead
like
silent
that.
online.
Dead silent online. Yeah. So filling that silence, though, has been two little known voices people might have heard of: the Louder with Crowder show and the Daily Wire. I know most of you guys probably never heard of them, but I still think it's worth talking about. Does one of you guys want to explain kind of the controversy, the drama that's unfolded over the last 36 hours, and we can give our opinions on it?
Tom does not want to do it, so I guess I will.
I'm
I wanted to put
deferring
it
to
on
the
Abby.
expert, the
Yeah.
personal friend of Jeremy Boring. No, not a bias at all here, Abby. Here's
No
the floor.
No bias at all. I have so much bias. I have bias I can't talk about because other people signed NDAs and then told me things they shouldn't have. So
Oh my
anyway.
God. That sounds worse than it probably is.
No.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly never mind. So Steven Crowder released. I am not a fan of Steven Crowder, and I haven't been from before this. So you're right. My bias is pretty intense. He released a video saying some shadowy conservative media company gave me this awful contract. Here, look at it. He shared some lines from it, not all of it. Redacted parts, didn't name who it was from. Heavily implied, in my opinion, that it was the Daily Wire, and people certainly assumed that it was. And so within 12 hours, 24 hours, Jeremy Boring put out a video saying, yes, indeed, it was us. And here is the entirety of the contract, and went through it line by line and explained his side of things. And then Crowder, just like 15 minutes ago, dropped his response to the response.
His response to the response to the response. Yeah, and his response to the response included a phone call between him and Jeremy Boring, and kind of his opinions on the call and what he was, I don't know, kind of clarifying, I guess.
I don't know if it was clarifying or if it was just more confusing.
I was going to say, I think he wanted to
questions after I watched the video with Jeremy Boring too, and I heard your commentary on it, the two of you. And I also watched both Tim Pool videos, the one before Abby and the one after. And then obviously we've both seen both of Steven Crowder's videos. I still want to see the contract. I now have more questions of everyone involved, because it seems like I agree with everything everyone said so far. And it is just a function of who is making a better business argument. I can see why the Tiny Hat Club in Tennessee is making what their argument is. And I understand why, Steven Crowder is on a new Crowder crusade. I get that too.
Right. Well, I think we could just lay this all to rest, because Seth Dillon actually answered this whole thing more succinctly than any of us
Thank
can.
God for Seth Dillon.
Yeah, let's check this out.
All right. I'm sure many of you are aware by now that there's a viral video making the rounds accusing us, the Babylon Bee, of being in bed with big tech. The guy who made the video doesn't refer to us by name. Instead, he calls us Big Con, a backhanded reference to our towering stature in the conservative world. You might be surprised to hear this, but we're not offended by that characterization. In fact, we're proud of our dominance. It took a lot of effort, not mine, but effort nonetheless, to get to where we are today. I'm sure that by now you've also seen the response from a little media startup called the Daily Wire, who awkwardly assumed Big Con was a reference to them. I know. I thought that was cute too. Anyway, I just wanted to come on here and set the record straight. We're not sorry for being the biggest and the best. We earned our subscriber with our joke, and we're certainly not going to be goaded into a conflict with allies unless we can think of a way to monetize it. We're going to get back to work now, so please share this video. Or don't. When you're this big, who cares?
Who cares?
Oh my God.
I thought that was pretty great. So,
Okay, now Abby, I have to ask you: do you think Seth Dillon likes Jeremy Boring or Steven Crowder when you watch that video?
He doesn't like either of them, I think.
yeah, I think it's pretty safe
Okay.
to assume he does not.
Yeah,
like
I was
either
just trying
one.
to catch you thinking that he was still like Jeremy because you're biased. Yeah, I think he was clearly saying right there. I was just teasing you. Jeremy is offering essentially nothing but, hey, I will put a little veil over you and in kind of feign protection over you. Not really though, because we'll both be taking the shot if you get shot at, and I'll make a lot of money while you're with me. He's acting as if like, hey, I'll be your new pimp. And really, when you look at the agreement with what has been shared, both from Jeremy and from Steven, it still appears like Jeremy is saying, yeah, they'll come over, new people, not like Steven, but new people will come over here and be little wage slaves. He refers to them, little media prostitutes, and they'll earn their way up. And Steven doesn't want to be treated like the bottom bitch coming over as being the number one producer right off the bat, still being treated the same way. And I think, honestly, if I were looking at that like a sales role, if I was saying, hey, you're going to bring in X amount, but we're only ever going to cap your income at 50, he may make them 500 million. He's only going to get capped. Like, shouldn't they have an incentive plan? Hey, if we take a hit, you take it too. And if we make more, you make more. That would be a better business model.
The second part is the second part is where I'm going to agree with you, because in the contract it does actually, they actually do take some of the hit. And that's the one thing that Steven misrepresented. This was my problem with Steven, is that I think he had a better case if he was just more honest. And in his first video, he totally misrepresented certain parts of the contract, including that part. And I went back and looked at his redactions compared to the parts that were unredacted. And some of the things he redacted were not names and not personal information, but they were things that cut against his argument. The problem is that in the contract, it said, you have 90 days, we'll help you fix this problem, but we'll both take a hit. That's not how it was represented. But also, on the other hand,
it's 25% for them, 50% for the creator.
It was 25-25. And because it was, if there was a 50% reduction, that you'll get a 25% decrease in revenue, which would mean if you're making 50% of the money you were before, you're going, if the show is making, let's say it was making $100, now it's making 50, you're going to lose 25, which means the company's also losing 25.
Right.
That's my point. They're splitting. They're actually sharing the burden of that hit. What I'm saying here.
But wait. You're taking that 25% out of a fixed rate from him at that fee of 50.
This is where I was going to agree with you, that he's also not
on
getting
the other
incentivized
side has
to do better.
infinite sums. So I can say you got demonetized in the summer of 2023. We were anticipating with all of our other channels and yours making X. Now you owe us, out of your fee, we're deducting this 25% of whatever the number is they say. And now you're thinking, okay, well, Steven Crowder is not going to be dicked over by these people, is he? That's what he's arguing right now, is that he feels he is before he's even signed the agreement. He thinks they're kind of already setting them up to be the creator takes it on the shorts, or takes it in the shorts. First and foremost, the owner of the content, of course, is going to take a hit if their pony dies, but that's still making, I mean, I think it's like a cash cow thing. And I know I'm using like 5 or 6 mixed metaphors now, but if Steven Crowder looks at the contract and sees 50 million total, he will not make $1 more unless he extends the contract or does extra work, $15,000 a day for extra work, or 25 million for an additional 2 years. So extending it pro rata. At that rate, Daily Wire can say in 4 years, hey, Steven, you're now worth 150 million over 4 years. We're still just going to give you 25 for the next 2 because it's in our contract and we can. That's a terrible agreement for him to sign on to. In no way do the details matter to save Jeremy when the overall thing is punishing to the person signing it, whether it's a big person or a small person. And the smaller they are, the worse off they are, because that 50 million shrinks. For a guy like Elijah Schaefer, it's probably 2 million, and he can't afford to take off four different hits on that contract.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm saying is it's the problem of the misrepresentation, I think, was where I think he had a stronger argument first off. And this is where I agree with you. If he's going to do better, there needs to be an incentive structure there. And this is kind of my whole thing with this is this is a, what do you call it? A non-binding first draft. So now you're playing. It's a term sheet. So now you have to make the decision. Do you believe it's a he said, she said game at this point of, do you believe that Steven walked away from the contract without negotiating it, which is Jeremy's claim, or that he tried to negotiate it and they basically told him to get bent, which is, I don't even know if Steven's made that claim, but I've seen other people online that know Steven trying to make that claim. So I think that there's a lot of that still baked into it. As far as a first term sheet goes, and I think this is just the case, like it was a lowball offer, I think, when you're talking about he's paying for an entire crew, he's paying for production and studio, things like that. Well,
Jeremy says that, right?
And Jeremy says that too.
And I think him to go up to 75, maybe even 90, but he anticipated the battle. And maybe that's part of why, not to cut you off, but that's why Steven maybe is kind of like, hey, I'm not even debating this with you. I'm not having an attorney redline it. Take it back. If we're supposed to be friends, if we're going to help each other build a business, you're not going to have a little, repartee with me before we do to try to nickel and dime me. Because that's what, I mean, we can cloud it, but that's what's happening. If you're negotiating, then you're nickel and diming over money.
I guess here's my thing about it too, is like, I think what's interesting is that Steven has attacked the Daily Wire for not wanting to do his business structure, but I don't see how that's not what, I mean, there's parts of the contract where that's true. But what I'm saying is the Daily Wire, and they've admitted this, and we all know, and actually me and Abby follow this exact same incentive structure with Conspiracy Pilled, which is your biggest crowd is going to be on YouTube. You're probably not going to make money there. You're going to bring them over to Rumble, where they've got a better incentive structure for paying out chats and paying out advertisement revenues and things like that. And then where your real money is going to come in at is your subscriber base. People are going to pay you $5 a month for extra content. And this protects you from losing your outreach to YouTube, but it also protects you from losing money. So like that was the whole thing that was built by Steven is, hey, we can't see this on YouTube, so piss off YouTube is his whole thing. He goes to Rumble. He goes behind the paywall of the Mug Club. And then Daily Wire copied this with Daily Wire Plus. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is if Steven's saying that they're trying to censor him, and I guess you can make that argument for like some of the incentive structure, which is where the disagreement comes in at. But I don't think it's fair to say that they're trying to censor you when they're building the exact same structure of you. We all know you can't say everything on YouTube. That's why we go to Rumble. That's why we have a paywall. That's why we've built a network. We also are smart enough to know that if we always stayed behind our paywall, if we always stayed on Rumble, we would not continue to gain new viewers. It's always a funnel. YouTube is the top of the funnel, and then you've got Rumble as the next part of the funnel, and then the bottom part of the funnel, where your money's coming in at, is your behind the paywall subscriber thing. Steven's attacking them for using his business model. That's where I'm finding this like really disingenuous. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. If he doesn't want YouTube and the financial structure of advertisers to be baked into his $50 million cap at all, and he thinks it should be negotiated a different way, I still don't see the evidence that he has negotiated that part of the contract to be like, this is why it doesn't work for me. I'm already demonetized. We have to make sure that it comes from like Mug Club, essentially.
Steven Crowder is looking at this from a perspective of feeling. He's looking at this of, I want to favor one, and if I'm going to have any eggs in a basket, it's not going to be YouTube. And if my income is going to be dependent on something, it won't be the censors at YouTube deciding to flip a switch on monetization. Right. And what he doesn't want is for them to know that that's a mechanic of how these people are paid. And so for then every 100 new conservative up-and-comer people that would want to be the next Steven Crowder, they would also have that switch getting flipped on them. And he knows that. And he says, if you make a contract that allows that switch to exist, everyone is punished by it.
See, and this is where
it's almost like it doesn't matter that he is looking at the money of it. Money could be $1. It's the function of, if we have $1 and then I'm guaranteeing you 50 cents and then we get cut by 50 cents, you take a quarter cut, I take a quarter cut. No. It's the business didn't do enough to make sure that that was $3 being made off of that content instead of just one. And that's the Daily Wire just saying, oh, we'll depend on YouTube for some revenue too. It's Jeremy Boring looking back and saying, I only see boxes being filled. I don't care if it's YouTube or Rumble or whomever. I just see revenue dollars and I want to add more. And what Steven's saying is we are hurt by depending on YouTube.
Right.
We should not put any contract terms in terms of how much YouTube can control. As I don't know, that I feel like we both are watching Abby's eyes just dart back and forth like she wants to add in, but
which I get. But here's the only I agree with you except on this one thing. If some money is inevitably coming in through YouTube for other people, right, and that money goes away, they're making less money. The company's making less money. That's the only part of this that I just don't fully get. Is like, yes, some of the money's coming from Rumble. A lot of the money's coming from your specials. The money's coming from Apple, iTunes, whatever. It's coming from all of that. But as soon as one of those dries up, and I'm not saying they should be dependent on it. I think they should move away from that. But if inevitably you're going to be there anyway, because that's where you're catching, that's the top of your funnel. And let's say some of that's going to bring in money. If Steven's show is not making that money, I don't know why he doesn't have to be the one to take some of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this.
Maybe it's just a function of
if there's not money there, you can't pay people. That's my
just make
my
that the incentive part then.
Right.
Like, don't have the salary that he keeps accidentally referred to.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Jeremy thinks of it as a salary, but it's a fee. You're
Right.
paying a talent fee. He thinks of it as an employee making a salary, and that person's earning a commission.
He corrected himself in that phone call. He said himself that he was flustered in that phone call and that he used the wrong word, salary. He even said it in the recording.
But that's what it acts as. What I'm saying, if it's a maxed amount over a term, that's a salary. You can say it's a salary over 4 years of 50 million, and then from there he has operating costs as a contracted employee. Steven now has to run Louder with Crowder out of a $50 million piggy bank over 4 years, not predicting what else may happen in the economy, not predicting inflation, not predicting anything else. By the fourth year, he may be taking $12.5 million on a show that costs him $12 million to make.
I think it's stupid that we're debating the terms of Steven's contract, because there's a couple different conversations happening at the same time, and they're all getting mixed up together, and I think it's frustrating. And Steven created this problem where I have a problem with how Steven approached this. I don't have a problem with discussing, hey, is the way that we do contracts in the conservative media space, could it be better? Is it outdated? Are we using contracts from the 90s that don't work anymore in the world that we live in? That is a perfectly legitimate conversation to be having, and I'd love to have it. But in a context where Steven is launching a new platform, using this controversy to do it, using it to build a list of emails, using it to take out his biggest competitor on the way, honestly, I felt lied to. I watched his video. I'm not a fan of Steven, but even adjusting for not thinking well of him, I still believed things that were not true, were patently false when I saw the context of the contract. So he lied to you are charitably taking it as him coming from a place of emotion.
But also, I have to caveat that with saying, like, I know both of your perspective is like, go Jeremy. So I am trying to be the heel here.
I'm really not. I just, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
I want to clarify.
I was fully behind Steven. It was the fact of being lied to that bothered me. And
can we clarify? Because I don't like being, okay, we all three, hey,
yeah, no,
we all three do not like being lied to.
Right.
So we have set that as a precedent. Can you just tell me how he lied? Because I that's what I'm not seeing.
Okay.
And if maybe you can help me see that, then I'll come to your side.
For instance, he was talking about getting fined from the company up to $100,000
a day if he misses one day out of 192.
But he left
so if it goes to 191, then he
left
loses
that part
100
out.
grand.
He left that part out, that he could make them up on Fridays, that he has 4 weeks of paid vacation, that it's 4 days a week. He left all of that out, but that's not the only thing. He left out
Wait, those aren't related. 4 weeks of vacation is paid time where you do not have to make a show. So set that aside. We're just talking about 192 shows that he has to make between Monday and Thursday. I didn't know the caveat that he could make one on Friday. It also sounded like Jeremy was kind of saying in his video, hey, you could just as easily make one up on a Friday. That wasn't clear. It just seemed as if you missed Monday through Thursday, new show, docked 100 grand. And that's because you lose 65 and they lose 35. That's how it reads. He can say it's one way and Steven can say it's another, but
I'm just saying he also left out the 90-day clause of losing 50% of the sponsorship. He left out the fact that the Daily Wire was going to take half of that upon themselves, the money. So there's things he left out, but my point, I'm just saying it felt dishonest. And I'll also agree with Abby on this. It felt like this came out at a time when he had this agreement back in October. We found out that this was when it was negotiated. It was in October.
Wait, what?
Yes.
This isn't now like in December? This isn't happening on Christmas Eve?
We found out this happened in October before he left the Blaze. And then he waits till January when he's got a plan for a network to launch this. And at the end of every one of his videos, he talks about his network and new talent coming to his network. It feels slimy. That's
They're both
point.
big con. That's what we're hearing.
That's the whole point. Yes,
what
thank
we're
you.
saying.
It feels so
Wait,
disingenuous
why
for
do
him
you
to
start
be.
with that if that's what you were saying?
Well, that's what we're getting
Tom,
to.
that's
Is
what
it's
I've been
both
tweeting
big
all
con.
day.
They're both big con.
I'm not on Twitter, Abby. You know
I'm
that.
sorry. No, so
Go ahead.
I want to clarify. I have been blessed with some really cool access to the Daily Wire, to the Babylon Bee, even the Blaze. I have friends in almost every major conservative media thing. So yes, I have some bias, and at the same time, it kind of evens itself out because I have bias in all of the corners. I think that we can have a conversation about whether or not these contracts are the best that they could be, and about philosophy for what the best way to approach the censorship issue is and approach the monetization and all of that, without saying these people are in bed with big tech. My competitors are in bed with big tech, because ultimately we can
It
disagree.
hurts everyone when he does that.
Yeah, we can disagree with Jeremy about, like, even I could disagree as far as like maybe there's a better way for the contract to be worded, for the contract to be written so that it doesn't provide perverse incentives. But like Tim said in his breakdown, these are the contracts that have been used for decades now. So I don't think they're coming from an evil place.
Yeah, I think the whole thing here is that Steven has branded himself as a martyr. He wants to continue to brand himself as a martyr. He's branding himself as anti-Big Con when he has always been a part of Big Con. So it feels disingenuous there. So like even when you lie even little bits, even lies of omission, it makes him come off more slimy. Whereas I was much more willing to back and support him originally. I think his second video made some of his points a little bit better when he talked about new talent. He actually provided some receipts that they're going to treat new talent in a similar way, which he didn't do before. But
I thought his first video tried to keep their integrity intact, so to speak, and just says like, hey, here's what it is. He didn't say who it was. He just says, this is a problem. This is what, and I honestly thought it was the Blaze. So I know you were saying it was like,
I thought it was PragerU. I thought it was PragerU.
So everyone thought it was someone different, and everyone thought it was the obvious choice too. So the people that thought it was the Daily Wire clearly thought the big con was them. And that tells you something. And the people like me that thought it was the people I thought it was, that tells me something too. And okay, if you thought it was PragerU, it's like, yeah, they're trying to pull one over on whomever they can. I think that's the business of it. I think that's how Jeremy Boring sees it. I think he thinks of it as, yeah. And everyone, hey, you want a leg up or not? This is what it's going to cost you to get a leg up in the industry. And let's just, if you want to play ball or not, do you want to have more of our players playing ball? And I think Steven sees it as like, you can be a manager player. You don't have to be an owner. And Jeremy just wants to be an owner. The only thing that Jeremy's done in terms of content creation is the Jeremy's Razors things, which is awesome.
Right.
But I mean, it's also, you can see that he has an opportunistic, gimmicky attack mode. And that seems like, hey, Crowder's coming up. I'll get in his ear about a contract. I'll see if I can lowball him. Like, you all agree this was a lowball offer. Steven did what Tim Pool had said he had done to ABC. Take the lowball offer and go and make it your best offer instead. I'm not going to take my time and my attorney fee to go and make your offer what I need it to be. You just go ahead and do that yourself, or we're not in business. That's the sign of good faith that he's looking for.
Yeah. I want to shout out to Waffle Salter real quick. Says, unthirsty, thirsty Thursday. Cheers.
Woo!
$25 super chat over there, or whatever you call them on Rumble. Thank you for the chat. Is it still super chats on Rumble?
It's a Rumble chat, right?
Rumble rant.
We'll call it a Rumble rant.
rant.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, we do rant. We have a tendency to do that.
We have been ranting, but you know what?
It's the bottom of the first hour. Can we move on? Can we not
Yes,
talk
I was
any
gonna
more
say,
about this topic?
it bothers me because this is just the right tearing the right apart. And what I like better is when the left is tearing the left apart. And we have Greta Thunberg doing that. Davos is happening right now. And who's out there attacking Davos besides all of us, which we'll get to, is Greta Thunberg over here. And I think this is pretty funny.
We are right now in Davos, where
She got so hot.
basically the people who are mostly fueling the destruction of the planet, the people who are at the very core of the climate crisis, the people who are investing in fossil fuels, etc., etc. And yet somehow these are the people that we seem to rely on solving our problems, where they have proven time and time again that they are not prioritizing that. They are prioritizing self-greed, corporate greed, and short-term economic profits above people and above planet. And we are listening.
Who brushed her hair?
To them rather
No one. That's the
than
point.
actually affected by the climate crisis, the people who are living on the front lines. And
That's my favorite part at the end of this. She's like, the people who are living on the front lines of the climate crisis, which I find hilarious because this has been a theme at Davos. If you guys have been watching any of the content, is that there are all these uninhabitable zones. And then they say there are 1 billion people living in this uninhabitable zone. I'm like, I think we have a different definition of uninhabitable. But I don't know. I just find
Chicago. They just show Chicago skyline. They're like, yeah, this is terrible. And they're like, what, pollution? They're like, no,
living in Chicago.
yeah, it's Chicago.
Yeah. Well, that if by that all the uninhabitable zones are the Democrat-led cities anyway, which is where I agree with them. But I just find this funny. She's like, they're living on the front
Speaking
lines.
of black people.
She's got all. Yeah, speaking of black people. No, I don't know. It actually led us a little bit behind the scenes. It led us to a conversation before the show of, is Greta Thunberg related
Hot or
to
what?
hot or what? Yeah, we're rating her. Yeah, I say
You were rating her.
It's just that blank autistic stare that really gets him. No, I have this theory that George Soros and Klaus Schwab might be both doing awful, terrible things, moving towards similar goals, but they're not working together. I think a lot of the elites are actually fighting each other.
Thunberg.
They're probably doing things together with Greta Thunberg. But
We do have that story of all the prostitutes visiting Davos. Is she in town?
I was gonna say,
Or is it just...
you're like jumping like 6 stories ahead of
No,
where I
I'm
was-
not. I'm doing a little bit of a call ahead.
Well,
What PJ was trying to say, I think, is that Greta is related to.
George. Well, I thought she was related to George Soros, and I still think she might be. But Tom said that he found she's related to the Rothschilds.
Yeah, it's Joachim Rothschild Thunberg. He's like her great uncle on her dad's side.
Yeah.
She's
It says the
definitely
internet, by
violent.
the way, so someone can fact check that. But as far as we're concerned, Greta Thunberg is the brainchild, so to speak, of the Rothschilds.
Yeah. Well, brainchild is
I
being
mean,
a little.
brainchild.
She's definitely a puppet of really, really powerful people.
Right.
She's not a content creator that's grown up with her own voice. She's been fed lines from a very young age and given a platform from a very young age.
She's been fed martini olives since 1 month conception.
Yikes.
So but that is my question though, is this her being so passionate about climate change she's willing to turn on her own people, or is she actually just being controlled by someone who's fighting someone else in this like secret, Illuminati war, essentially? Like all these like top elites that are just infighting and using her as a pawn.
PJ, I have to be honest, you had an interesting theory that I had not heard of 35 minutes ago, which was that George Soros and Klaus Schwab are in like a demeasuring contest to see who can run the world, and that George Soros's operative is Thunberg.
Right.
Let me know more about that, because I don't have any proof of that.
Yeah, well, it was just kind of a theory because of stuff I've heard, so I didn't bring all the receipts with me tonight.
Oh,
But
I thought you were leading into that.
No, I'm sorry. It was literally just a theory I threw out before we went live, but it's something I'll look into more. I did notice that there are a lot of pictures of a George Soros operative in the background of all of Greta's pictures. So maybe I'll bring a fuller story on that next week. But yeah,
Wait,
it's just a thought.
Can we just, as an aside, a little stop off on the road before we keep going? Did you guys also hear that alongside all of the different photographers of the Pelosi camera crew on January 6th, one of them was the dude who was the hammer attacker on Paul? So like, is he a guy that the family knows like well because he's traveled with them? He's like a photographer of theirs. He's like a videographer of theirs. This Pepe Paul DePage guy who was the hammer attacker of Paul Pelosi apparently was like their pornographer, should I say?
Yeah, Paul knows him very well.
Yeah, Paul. Were you guys extras on Bros?
Paul DePape, or yeah, DePape was an extra on Bro, David DePape or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think that whole story got pulled out of the news for that very same fact, is that everybody started noticing that this guy is not just some, guy who was ransacking this house full of Secret Service agents and cameras, and nothing was caught, and he was able to get in. Everybody knew that he was there by invitation, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
I also think it's a feature of the left that shut up, PJ. That they'll have their like sacrificial goat who comes in and not. That's the wrong
person.
Sacrificial goat, but she means that literally. I think DePape was going to get sacrificed in a blood ritual, and then he attacked Paul Pelosi with a hammer. That's what I think.
I think they were doing that whole thing from Waiting, where he was like, "Show him the bat wing," and he was like, "Give him the goat."
Oh gosh, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
They have an agenda, but they don't have the power to push their agenda. So they'll have their special little sacrificial goat who comes in and beats them up and beats everybody up. Like Greta will come in, or AOC will come in. You guys are all the worst. It's so awful. And they'll be like, "You're so right. You're so brave. You're so
Pretend
brave
to even the odds with the narrative."
Yeah, you're so brave to stand up against the man, when in reality you have the entirety of the man's power behind you.
This is the King's Joker. This is the King's Jester. It's like, hey, this is the one person who can criticize the elite because we control them and we allow it because that's the steam vent for the entire population to keep their cap on.
Yes.
Yeah. Talking about sacrificial goats and playing that whole thing. Greta Thunberg tried to turn herself into one this week with this totally fake arrest. Did you guys see this?
Jesus.
It was reported that she was arrested for protesting a coal mine in Germany. And then, there's the pictures.
Why can't she do it in the summer on a beach?
Right. Does this look like any arrest you've ever seen? Like the stageness of it. It doesn't even look like, even in a still photo, does it look like she's being arrested? She's standing there smiling at the camera with her arm held out straight, like
all right, march her
her
quick,
back.
Just in case there's video instead of photos. Take it real fast.
Unbelievable.
It has to be the worst.
Honestly, wait, can you go back to that freeze frame just really quick? I'm sorry not to be a bother. Right there. That kind of is like what the live action Pokemon movie will eventually look like. This is Team Rocket taking in the lady trainer for whatever reason. It's the same exact thing. No real seriousness, no real fear, just having fun, being a kid out there, hucklebucking around.
Think about how bad they are at this, though. If you just go through, is there a single still frame, like, because they're taking photos, that where it looks like she's actually being arrested?
Do we have video? We have video of actual German police actually arresting actual people, don't we?
Oh, yeah, they're historical, and that they're all wearing Stars of David on their chest.
Bring that. No,
Paul was talking about 2020, TJ.
Yeah, I was like a couple weeks ago, man.
I know. I was just
German police.
Oh no.
Jeez Louise.
I'm just saying she doesn't have anything stitched into her clothing, so it doesn't look fully German arresting to me.
But seriously, in World War I, Germany was like,
you're going back that far? You're making fun of me for going back to World War II. You're going to go to World War I.
In 1886.
We had a 30 years war. In the 30 years war, go ahead.
Germany decided it was going to go to war with the world. And then that wasn't enough.
Stop.
They had to do it again.
It's not fair. You don't just get to poorly copy Norm.
Yeah.
No. And then Klaus Schwab, German, trying to control the world again. I don't know, you guys.
When are we going to stop letting Germany be a country?
Again. I'll be honest.
Exactly.
If I ever have a son, I totally want to name him Norm.
Norm.
Don't tell anyone.
Then you could call him Normie whenever he doesn't agree with you.
Normie. Come over here. Sit on Dad's lap. I'm gonna tell you a story, Normie.
My
But if
son's
there
just
was
a
ever a
normie.
people group,
We call him a Normie.
So I'm saying you call him a normie. If you ever
I
disagree with
just
you, just
got
call him a
that.
normie.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. What was I gonna look up? Oh, yeah.
German
No.
police arresting people. I'm
I thought
sure
it was
there's
on
no
a-
shortage of footage, by the way, of that.
It was
Yeah.
on a Telegram somewhere. Hold up, please. You guys keep talking amongst yourselves.
Acting only a naughty film could appreciate. Yeah, I like that waffle saucer. I've seen better acting in pornos.
I don't watch those. That's disgusting.
yeah.
It was a line from The
DJ.
Ringer. It was a line from The Ringer. I was quoting a
Sure.
movie.
Yeah. Hey, whatever you got to say.
Abby wouldn't get it because she's never seen a movie ever, so she doesn't appreciate my. But you want to talk about pornographers and Brian Stelter was at Davos this week talking about whores.
Speaking of crack whores,
Speaking of crack whores, yeah, we got Brian Stelter over here, and he's leading. Let me get this right. A workshop on combating disinformation, and I gotta say, congrats to Davos for hiring someone who really knows what they're talking about for once. We've got Brian Stelter combating disinformation. So yeah, check this out.
And the news publishing perspective, and then
There we go.
we'll work our way toward some of the political parts of the conversation. How does this discussion of disinformation relate to everything else happening here today in Davos?
Well, first, thanks for having me as part of this conversation. As you can imagine, this is something I really care deeply about. So I think if you look at this question of disinformation, I think it maps basically to every other major challenge that we are grappling with as a society, and particularly the most existential among them. So disinformation and the broader set of misinformation, conspiracy, propaganda, clickbait, the broader mix of bad information that's corrupting the information ecosystem.
Can you imagine the people at World Economic Forum getting mad at conspiracy theorists? Why would that be? I wonder.
What it attacks is trust. And once you see trust decline, what you then see is societies start to fracture. And so you see.
Yeah, is he here's my question. Is this guy lecturing Brian Stelter, talking about, I don't know, maybe running a show called Reliable Sources and then using zero reliable sources and lying to people and then getting kicked off the air because no one trusts you anymore? Like, I'm watching this going, it looks like they're agreeing, but it sounds like he's lecturing Brian Stelter.
I just thought it was a real life narration. He's just saying what's happening. It's not like he's
Right.
explaining it. He's just saying, and then you've caused this.
It is funny because that's the whole thing, is he's actually explaining something real. They're just so tone deaf that they're not like, yeah, we're kind of the ones who've ruined everyone's trust. No one watches CNN anymore.
If credibility wears down and no one believes the news, then no one's going to trust when you lie or when you tell the truth. And I guess we'll never know. And then Brian Stelter's like,
it's even better because the point he's making is once you've broken the trust, people don't want to listen to anymore. Who are people not listening to now? You know what I mean? Like, that's if by his own admission, that's what's going on. Are more people turning to alternative sources who he's claiming are the disinformation, misinformation pushers, or are they turning away from CNN and NBC, MSNBC, the whole, yeah.
Is Brian red pilled and too much of a coward to say so?
no, Brian is a pedophile and he's trying desperately to maintain himself without going to jail. Hang on. I found
two
a
things
video
can
of,
be true at once.
well, he can't be a red pilled No, there's no such thing as a red pilled pedo. He'd kill himself. I can't show a thing. Can I? I guess not.
Yeah,
can
at the
send you a
bottom,
link.
at the bottom.
Whatever.
Okay.
I'll just send this to you like that.
All right.
Here's Klaus Arminius on Twitter. He posted this video. This is what the actual German police actually look like when they're actually mad at someone for actually protesting. Snap, snap, snap.
Scheiße, Alter.
They take no shit. So if you thought, well, wait, maybe Greta Thunberg was being arrested, they're just being nice. No, it was all photo op. I'd be surprised if those were real cops.
I'd be surprised if they were real cops. Yeah, that actually it does raise a question. If they're real cops, why are they going along with this?
Oh, they're told like, hey, by the way, we're going out there for a photo op. Y'all are going to get a bonus. Check your accounts later. Y'all going to see an extra 0 added to it. What do
I
they
like
get?
how your German. I like how your German cops are Southern.
No, these are the Southern Hicks dumbasses that are running the CIA under Pompeo's
go.
leave.
There we go. Yeah.
All the Kansas boys that we're supposed to trust, but we don't.
Yeah. Well, Brian Stelter.
Abby, don't smirk like that's not a real thing. You know, you're all tied up with them. A federal operative.
No
When's
comment.
the last time you were at the farm?
Recently.
How about that? Every time I see a comment about eggs and the prices of eggs, I can't help but think, number one, I got to go tie the chickens up later. But two, how thankful I am that we have egg laying chickens putting out basically what's going on about $7 a day now, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
money.
remember in Willy Wonka when she wants that goose that craps out golden eggs. That's what
I got
people are
7
looking
of
at your.
them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I want chickens so badly.
Wonka,
and
I want it now.
I don't care.
How much for the golden goose, Wonka?
I want it now.
homeowners associations.
I want the world. I want the whole world.
Are you done?
Keep going. You'll find out.
Homeowners associations are such utter tyranny.
Yeah.
I mean, we all talk about like big government, but a lot of the like really severe tyranny is happening at a really small scale.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Just his comment. Sorry, no, I'm not rich. I'm egg rich. I am yolk rich. When I come out of the backyard with a handful of 5 eggs, I'm feeling flush.
He just has one of those like vaults, and he jumps in like Scrooge McDuck into a bunch of eggs and just swims through them.
His yolk covered.
Just covered in
Look at
yolk.
like a different video.
Oh gosh. Well, speaking of prostitute, but you were right, Abby. There is like before I move on.
Speaking of prostitutes, you were right, Abby.
No, I was gonna move on, and then I was like, wait, Abby had a point, and I didn't want to move past her point. Okay, so now that was an awkward transition. I will just do my transition.
There's no more awkward transition than that one that we looked at the other week where the black labia menorah was falling off.
That's true. That was a very awkward transition. Can
you imagine it's now news? They're like, hey, my bottom surgery didn't work. Yeah, no kidding. How is that news? Why is it now becoming like mainstream breaking news? Like, turns out trans surgeries aren't working.
Turns out that thing that never worked in the last 30 years that we've been trying, 40 years that we've been trying it, still doesn't work. When you mutilate people, they're mutilated.
Jeez,
breaking
Louise.
news. Yeah.
What is the tap water over here?
I didn't mean to make that awkward transition, but I was going to say is Abby's right. There is like a huge problem with this like soft tyranny at the bottom. And I think we have all kind of done it to ourselves. Like we signed into these homeowners agreements, we signed into these little contracts and these things that kind of perpetuate soft tyranny, and it just kind of like swells from the ground up.
Look at the soft tyranny at the ATF with their just new rule passed. They just pass a new rule, stabilizing braces, new rule. In the next 120 days, you're a felony. You're a felon. New rule. Not a law, not passed by anyone. Before a court even sees whether or not it's constitutional, it doesn't go for a review. It just is a rule until it's challenged. How stupid is that?
This is why when there was that whole thing over Kevin McCarthy and everybody's like, oh no, what are we going to do if they're not in
what happens
if they're not there to do their jobs and they don't work?
That's what we would want. We beg for a shutdown.
You would think that, but here's the problem is like, that is why we have the ATF, because the whole thing is that they've neglected their duties. They said, hey, you bureaucratic agencies, you have now the right to do our job for us. We're going to sit here and we're going to collect money and play the stock market. But will you please just write the new regulations? So they're writing laws. Like the whole thing is the ATF, all they have to do is just continue to go, well, this thing that the Senate or Congress passed a long time ago, it's kind of really open and we can just maneuver anything we want in there. It's still insane to me that we just sit by and let bureaucrats write actual laws, which is what the ATF is doing. If you're changing something that was legal into illegal and then adding penalties and fines, you've replaced the Senate. I don't know. Speaking of other process,
I feel like we could replace the Senate, just to be frank. I think we should replace the Senate. I think we should keep all but one of them, or we should get rid of all but one of them and let that coin flip to land on Rand Paul. I think we should keep him only just for like fun. just so someone knows how to run the Senate the next time we bring them all in.
Yeah. Feel like the Joker in the So
what is
Can
this
we-
percent?
PJ, were you trying to transition to another story, or can I take us off?
yeah, go ahead.
I want to say, beyond like our conversation about Steven Crowder and Jeremy Boring and the contracts and stuff, it is incredibly demoralizing to not only watch all the baddies do all the bad things, but then also watch people be awful within the conservative movement.
Right.
And I am so disappointed that we couldn't have just had like a roundtable discussion about contracts. Like if that needed to happen, like do it. It didn't have to be like this. This is so awful and I hate it.
Yeah. It is funny because I said that this made me think of PragerU for this exact reason. Is it feels like there's something going on in a lot of conservative places. That one just stuck out in my mind because what I see happening over and over again is you get this fresh young talent, and it's kind of like the music industry where they can just bring in somebody, give them a studio, give them a look, give them control their social media and make this person into this neat little package. And they can sell that person. As soon as that person realizes, oh, I'm not, this contract sucks and I'm not making any money and I'm just being used, I'm being told what to do and what to say, and they want out, guess what? They've got the next young 19-year-old that looks a certain way and speaks a certain way, and they can come in and give them a script and put them on camera and give them a studio, and they're just churning them over. It's like mumble rappers. It's just like this. You never know their names because it's just the same people being pushed and churned over and over and over again. And I saw that at places like TPUSA and PragerU, and that's why I originally thought this contract Stephen was talking about was them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of problems with Big Con. Like that's the whole thing is I didn't want to sound like I was coming out and shilling for the Daily Wire. I just don't like any of the sliminess on any side. And I kind of just feel like I'm stuck in between a lot. And I think we all know people without saying names and talking about experiences. We all know people in Big Con that are slimy. We've all met them. We've all
I know Little
interacted
Baby
with
Con.
them.
I know a guy in Little Baby Con who's awfully slimy.
We that's we all know people in Big Con and Small Con and Little Hat Con, whatever you want to call it. That's
I've had
slimy
interactions with people who wanted to own me and started acting like they owned me.
Yeah, but we're not talking about your husband. Let's get back to the stream.
Look, okay.
Technically, he does own you. Check the law.
He does.
It's
Yeah.
in Virginia. It's very strange, but check the
And
law.
I'm gonna tell John to deal with this later if he's not watching the stream.
John,
So,
hey.
yeah, get
Oh
your
my
woman in
God.
line.
No, I didn't say it.
But people that I was
Get her on a leash.
podcasting for or something like that who would reach out to me privately and be like, why'd you tweet this? Why did you as
Just
if I
tag
couldn't
me, bro. Don't talk about me in front. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I think it's actually says a lot about the Daily Wire that Candace was able to kind of go off and say all the things that she said, and that they never, beyond like personal tiffs between Ben and Candace, there was never any problem with her just being herself and disagreeing with them.
But don't you see that that's a business decision that Ben and Jeremy make as business partners? Like they own the Daily Wire, and so they see her as revenue. They could give a crap less about her personality. They don't care about Steven's personality. They don't care about why you get banned on YouTube. They say, when you are not making money on X platform, we get banned on we don't make money, so you don't make money. Their whole thing is money, money, money. And Steven's thing is, first and foremost, make the conservative movement have a freedom of speech. And that has to mean cutting out some money from YouTube. We've had this conversation ourselves.
I think
But not on the same scale. And I'm not saying that we are anything like any of these people here, for the record.
I think there's
If one of us was Jeremy Boring, you'd be PJ.
Gosh, no. I think that Steven's right to say that, but I just also question if he's as genuine as people think, I guess is my point.
Oh, I don't have to believe he's genuine, but I also don't want him to join. So it's like, I don't necessarily think that when Steven does his whole thing, like he's putting on a face and I can see the face. I know what that is. But I also know Ben Shapiro is the guy who will be guilty of knowing 10 out of 10 things on an issue and will intentionally only give you the 7 that make him look right without being wrong at all. And he'll leave out the 3 that maybe make someone else also right and maybe question some of why Ben Shapiro thinks the way he does. So in the case of Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro's tweet, Steven Crowder knows nothing about business, contract negotiation, or friendships and decency. Well, Steven only said nice things about Ben and only nice things about the people that are there and was very decent about it. I thought he's only gone tit for tat with what they have answered for. He didn't out them. He didn't show anything beyond the number, and they wanted to make it about them. They made it about the Daily Wire. And so now it's just odd. The whole thing sucks.
See,
I'm with Abby. I'm with Abby. I don't like any of it. This is why I cancel it all.
But
go back in time.
I'm not even disagreeing. This is why I see it as slimy, because Steven also was like, as much as he looked genuine, he also was coming out pushing his platform in a way. So
does he even have a platform? I thought it was like he wants to get paid on a newsletter.
He's previewing the thing he's about to launch. This is all a setup for him launching a platform.
Well, when you guys told me that it was October,
came out in October.
That's why when you said it was October, that's when it hit for me. I'm like, well, if that's the case, then we should have been debating this November 4th.
If it was as principled as he says it is, then every video that he's put out on it, he wouldn't be pushing his platform and the new talent he wants on his platform. That's
so they're just like the DOJ, hiding things until after the election. Bullshit.
Right.
Fucking A. Okay,
It's
you know what? You guys,
slimy.
you two are the only ones I trust, and even then, I'm watching you, PJ.
Oh, I'd watch me too. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Speaking of prostitutes, though, let's see if I can actually get through this time. Prostitutes are gathering in Davos for the annual meeting of Global Elite, where the demand for sexual services rockets during economic summit. Is this surprising to anybody?
Rockets?
It might have been a double entendre there.
Now, wait a second here. You're no kidding. You're telling me that prostitutes are headed to Davos, and then at the same time, CNN's Brian Stelter headed out there, and there's no coincidence or overlap in what business plans he may have?
I was going to say prostitutes are heading to Davos, and at the same time, so are sex workers.
Yeah, he's Brian Stelter bobbing for apples in someone's hotel room.
Right. I don't know. I think it's just funny.
Elon's tweets
awful.
About
And
World
true.
Economic Forum have been so interesting this week because he started off a few days ago replying to a Chris Rufo tweet where Chris Rufo was basically like, you guys stop paying attention to the World Economic Forum. We've got problems at home.
Wait, Abby, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Can you be our Twitter liaison from now on and just always tell us what's going on? Because I can't see it, and I feel like I can't trust PJ, as I already told you.
I'm not on Twitter that much. Yeah.
There you go. I don't trust him to tell me what's going on.
Abby
over there.
is Twitter, so she knows what's up.
Hey,
I am.
Twitter, Abby. Please.
As we were told this week, Abby, we are trying to censor Elon Musk's First Amendment rights.
Yes, because I have that power as a person with 25,000 followers.
She got accused of that like 100 times in the comments, that she was censoring Elon Musk's First Amendment rights. I'm like, on the platform that he owns, the billionaire on the platform he owns, she disagreeing with him is censoring him? Okay.
Hey, did you not know that now if you disagree with the narrative, you're not only spreading conspiracy theories and bizarre claims, but whatever else you just added to that now, I guess they've got against. Oh, you're censoring them. Right. You're censoring them.
She's censoring
disagreement is censorship.
But anyway, what was
Abby,
Chris
Abby,
Rufo's
pull up
thing?
your Twitter so we can see it.
Oh. You want me to show you this?
Yeah,
I
why
don't
don't you show and tell? Do the whole deal.
I don't have it.
I'll do it for you. Go ahead and talk, and I'll find it.
Hey, by the way, it's almost 8 o'clock, and while I've got you here, if you could slap the like button like it's a lady that disobeyed you in the 50s, hit the share like it's Cher from the 70s and you're Sunny, and if you could comment in the chat. If you don't have an account, that means you can't chat. Then shame on you. You should get an account, and that means on Rumble and on Odyssey. If you're watching on YouTube, great for you, but we would prefer your eyes on Rumble or Odyssey. YouTube's great, and we love you there, but if we had our choice, we would pick the other two first. Sorry, Susan.
All right, so we do have the receipts here while you're talking about it. Here's Chris Rufo's tweet.
Sorry for the sexism, by the way. I can't believe that script was sent by Abby.
Yeah. She set you up there. She set you up, man.
Yeah. Chris, I usually appreciate Chris, but he said, unpopular opinion, the obsession with Klaus Schwab, Davos, and the World Economic Forum is misguided as they have little real power over life in America. It's also enervating as it shifts the locus of control to faraway figures while constructive action can be taken at home. Stay focused.
Wrong.
I think this is a false binary in that
wrong.
You can focus on more than one thing, and you can keep your eyes on more than one thing at the same time. You can talk about more than one thing at the same time. And for a conservative to be coming out and saying, don't talk about the World Economic Forum, stop looking over there, is really weird. And then Elon agreed with him, and he's like, yeah, don't look at the World Economic Forum.
This is Yeah, this is the same like trick that we've seen people pull us on both sides of the aisle for a decade now. Where anytime you say something and they're like, "Ooh, we have nothing to say about that." Well, why don't you care about homeless veterans? Like that's always the go-to is like, why don't you care about homeless veterans? Or the one that we've seen lately, Abby, is if we talk about anybody else, like Michigan talking about maybe they're trafficking people in the Bahamas. Well, why don't you care about Epstein? Why don't you care about that one guy who's conveniently dead and you can do nothing about? Why don't you care about that guy? It's the false binary is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is anyone actually telling you that like you don't care about that?
We made a
yeah.
whole video about it this week,
Are you
actually. Yeah.
serious?
We made
Lord.
made a video called Fake People Real Comments, where we responded to NPC comments on our videos or on our Instagram posts and stuff like that. And the number one comment, besides the fact that we're trying to censor Elon Musk by disagreeing with him on one issue, was
Can
not
you
even
quit, by the way?
disagreeing.
Because I
It was
like what
a
he has
joke.
to say. So quit silencing my guy. Okay?
Yeah, I'll try. Was that we don't care about Epstein because even though we talk about it, we also talk about other things.
You know what? The more I learn about him, the less I care for the guy.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't know. Everybody's
Yeah.
obsessed with the guy. I'm like, not a fan.
I'm not big into that guy. Don't really care too much.
Yeah. I unsubscribed from his fan club this week. So
I think focusing on Epstein is a mistake because he's already dead. And
that's what I was saying. Yes.
they
It's
were
like
all
there's-
four
They're
pedophiles
pointing at the
in the world.
wake behind the boat, going, "See what else is going on." It's like, no, we're looking at the people in front still.
Yeah.
At the helm.
exactly.
if you care about people human trafficking today, you don't care about the dead guy who was human trafficking before. And that's the more important one, the guy that's already dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Elon Musk is saying don't look at the World Economic Forum. They're not important. Maybe he's saying like they kind of already know they're dead in the water. You saw George Soros isn't there. Schwab did not speak last Friday like he was set to on Saturday. He had to pull out because he was not feeling very well. So it's very strange. It's like the people that would be making appearances aren't, and the people who you would think would not be, the FBI director, the governor of Georgia, they are. So something is afoot, and I dare say it may be effery.
Yeah, but I think that this whole, like Abby was saying, this false binary of don't care about the World Economic Forum, you can only care about your own politics. You'd have to ignore 30 years of them coming out and saying this is what's going to happen, and then it happens. So to say that they don't have any control over the global politics, let's see that they don't have any control in American politics, is just it's ignorant of history and it's a lie. Like we can see this over and over and over again, where the World Economic Forum comes out, hey, we're gonna try this thing. Oh, that sounds stupid and silly, and then everybody laughs about it, makes their quick videos on YouTube, and then they move on as if it's all some big joke. It's some big
And
scam.
6 months later, it's happening.
Right. Look at these silly guys in Davos and what they want. And it's like, yeah, but they're telling you what they're going to do. And we found out through 30 years of them doing this that they actually have the power to get a lot of this done.
In some cases, I wonder if it is chicken or egg. Like they talk
Right.
about things last year, and then you look at what happens over the following year, and then you look at the next year, and it's all very similar talk. So I know that they're not going to be reinventing the wheel every year. I get that. But I am curious if it is so blatant and obvious and obtuse as we are making it sound. Like they go to the year and they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the annual meeting every year. We're going to say what we're going to do, and then we set out to do it. Or if it's an ongoing, this is how they feel about everything, and they meet to catch up and see how they're doing. I feel it's more of a report card thing and an agenda setting than it is like a
which in and of itself is important though, to say,
For
hey,
sure.
this is where their minds are at. And these people are not just in Davos. They're there for a week, and then they go back out to their governments and try to implement the stuff. They're meeting with people, they're shaking hands, they're making those relationships. It's kind of like we talked about with Bohemian Grove, where it's like, yeah, all these elites are kind of getting together, and that's in and of itself kind of bad because they're
what did
planning.
Nixon say it was the gayest thing he'd ever
Yes,
seen?
it was. That's what he
He
said.
said he says this is the faggiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was the actual quote. Yeah.
But to that point, then, if they're getting together in Davos and doing anything like that, which, okay, Brian Stelter's there, so you know they are. Is it just, can we then say, okay, well, then the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, why is he there? Christopher Wray of the FBI, why are they there? Are they being called in as the lieutenants of these people who are considered commanders or capos of the mafia?
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well,
I think in a lot of ways the World Economic Forum does us a favor in being the fact that we can look at who's there, who's speaking, and who's shaking hands, and we can go, oh, that's someone not to be trusted. It's the whole thing with Dan Crenshaw, like this young World Economic Forum leader that sells himself as a Republican. Then you look at that and you're like, maybe if you looked at it early enough, you're like, oh, maybe I should keep an eye on this guy.
Wow.
Bad pun.
How
Wow.
dare you, PJ?
Wow.
He is a war
just
veteran.
just the one eye. Yeah, but anyway.
You can't criticize war veterans because if somebody has lost an eye in war, they can do no wrong forever, ever, ever.
For the rest of their lives, ever.
I don't like Dan Crenshaw first and foremost for his gun confiscation laws, where he calls them red flag laws because he thinks that colors and objects and symbols are cooler sounding than what it actually is, which is stripping Americans of their rights. I don't like that about him. His eye thing, I think, is kind of cool. I thought that was neat at first. I was like, oh, cool. Like modern day, oh, he's a little badass from, war. But now I realize he's probably not. If anything, he probably got like dust in his eye from a sandstorm or stared into the sun or something and then had like, oh, my eye. And they had like, help him out with it. Now he just wears the patch because it looks gooey or something.
Well, as Pete Davidson said, it's kind of cool because it makes him look like a pirate in a porno movie.
Is that what he said?
That was what got him in trouble. I think he said a pirate or a hitman in a porno movie. It was one of those.
We don't deserve Pete Davidson.
For a lot of reasons.
For a lot of
what did we do to deserve Pete Davidson? Dear Lord, what did we do?
Oh man.
How many people are watching on YouTube right now? Let's do a little head count.
I think we got 30 something on YouTube.
Rumble, we got 50 people. And we have some super chats we've been missing. Mr. DJs says Fed level in their hands is because they got a lot of mid-tiers carrying their water. Judges, DAs, mayors, governors, city councils, school boards, etc. Also, a lot of unelected ties, media, tech, etc. Continues. Funny thing is, how often do you see the lackeys or guards being saved by the head honchos when it all falls apart? And even if they got their way, we know what happens to useful idiots. Yeah, they find the wall or a short drop and a hard stop.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that, Mr. DJs. Appreciate it.
And to all of the viewers and people who are watching and listening, like, share, subscribe, grab a link in the description below, share it with a friend or a family member or a colleague or a coworker or just someone else that you know and help us grow the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So if did you have more you want to say about the Elon Rufo thing before I moved on?
Please.
Just that it seems like after Elon said that, a lot of people were like, actually, Elon, no. And he seemed to listen because further tweets were like, oh, actually, World Economic Forum bad. And he responded to Michael Knowles today about a clip about redefining free speech or recalibrating free speech. So Elon is so hard to read. It's hard to see if he's going with the flow or if he's sometimes just learning something new or
I think the reason people like Elon and Joe Rogan are so popular is because they're more like the average American than anybody else with a big voice. And that is the fact that they don't have a root in any of their beliefs. And that's what allows them to be flipped around by the wind all the time. So if you listen to Joe Rogan more than once, you're like, oh, Joe Rogan doesn't agree with Joe Rogan on any given day because he has no foundational principles. And I mean, this is what allows people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and others like them to go, well, I supported Bernie until I supported Trump, and nothing changed about my beliefs or my structure. I've changed nothing about what I think about the world, but I was able to go from a hardcore communist to Donald Trump, and that's not weird. I don't know. Like that's how I read these people. It's like they're more like the average American. Like even though they're elites, even though they're pretty intelligent people, they have no foundational principles.
I feel like it'd be more fair to say that their foundational principles are just different than what you consider to be, like what you recognize as a foundational principle may not be what they are thinking of. Like when Joe says not to defend Joe, but just to take the counterpoint. If Joe Rogan or if anybody else, Elon Musk says, yeah, I really liked what Bernie had to say. I remember watching Bernie's speeches in 2015 when they were only about big pharma and how much insulin cost. And when it's only about those things and you're looking at one pixel on a screen, you go, hey, I like the color of that pixel without knowing the full image on the screen. And if the same pixel overlaps with another one, you go, hey, I see the same image. I'm good with that, even though the total picture may be very different. So I think like they may be looking at one or two issues and thinking, I want to disagree. I want that to happen for this issue. I want this to happen for that issue. And if two candidates both say the same thing, that may be the only thing they hear about or care about, which maybe overlap Bernie and Trump. A lot of people, it was like 11% of Bernie supporters from the primaries came over to vote for Trump in the November election of 2016. So there isn't no overlap there.
Do you think that the foundational principle then for them is just anti-establishment?
It could just be, whoever the biggest or
if you're-
worst bull is to send it in the china closet. It could just be that.
Because that's the only real link between someone like Bernie Sanders and Trump is they're self-funded, they're anti-establishment, they're not part of the swamp, right? I mean, essentially, even though Bernie Sanders is for like the biggest government of all time, communism, praises the Soviet Union, at least he's viewed, whether he is or not, as an anti-establishment, not part of the clique candidate. That's the only thing I could think. Like, and that it makes sense. But so maybe you're right that they have just different principles, but a lot of times it feels like Joe Rogan will disagree with Joe Rogan on foundational things where I question if he has any foundational understanding of why he thinks the way that he thinks.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't have a lot of foundation, but he has a lot of thoughts.
He does have a lot of thoughts.
From day to day, he may choose which one he goes with.
Right. Yeah. So Abby just sent me this. Jeremy responded to Crowder because this whole thing is breaking while we're on the show. So I guess we'll just keep coming back to it. I would play the part of that call where we talked about our kids' Christmas and him buying baby formula for his brother's children, but I wouldn't even know how to secretly record phone calls with my friends. Yeah.
I think all of this should have been handled quietly. Yeah. They both are hurt. All of this should have been handled quietly. They should have been meeting. They should have been talking face to face. It should have been 12 hours in a boardroom screaming at each other with fists pounding on a table if that's what it took. But this little petty tit for tat, I'll use what I have against what you think you have, and we'll go up to. It doesn't let us as the audience know who we should support with all the information. It's actually it's banking on us not knowing everything and choosing a side emotionally like they have. And they both have done this now, which is annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This goes back to what I was saying too, is like the problems with the problems with the contract really come back to this should have been handled quietly. Like every major thing that I was supposed to believe was this huge bombshell and couldn't possibly have an explanation or couldn't possibly have been done for, they don't have any reasons. It's all just they're nefarious, they're evil, they're awful. It didn't seem to be that way. I guess that's what makes me, and I didn't want to, and I didn't originally think I would side more with Boring when he made that video, but I'm watching this going, it's not, whether I think the contract is good or not, it's not the nefarious, evil, awful thing that Crowder put out in a lot of ways.
I think Jeremy is going to always be seen as having taken the high road here. Like this is the Daily Wire on the hill, and this is Steven Crowder not liking his path up the hill. And I think Steven can make a valid argument that they at the Daily Wire could have and should have made it a lot better for him and for everyone else coming forward because they don't need to make it as bad. And I think Jeremy can say, hey, this is a good contract. Go compete it or go shop out this agreement with anyone else. These are just terms. We expect you to negotiate. This isn't the final thing. He can say all those things and he'd be right. And I think Steven Crowder is also right to say, don't make me go through those things. Like Tim Pool did not take the offer from Daily Wire. He just turned them down.
Right.
So he didn't make a video about it, and so we don't have this from them. But they had the same falling out.
On both sides of this, it's become an emotional ploy. You got on Steven's side,
emotional.
It's right, yeah. But on both sides, it has turned into an emotional ploy of I'm the last dog in this fight. I'm the only one who's really fighting, which is Steven's thing. And then on Jeremy Boring's, it's his same thing that he always does, which is I actually know this is a good thing, and I'm going to sit here and calmly and rationally explain it to you, and I will look like the adult in the room. So they're both just kind of playing.
Steven might feel like he's the martyr, so he's going to play into that. Like, hey, if you're going to martyr me, if you're going to make me the guy who has to stand up and say no, if I'm going to have to be the big toe that stands out, if I have to be the big toe that gets stubbed, damn it, I'm going to swell and get mad. So like that's what he's doing. He's swelling and he's getting mad, even if he doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I just think this could have all. So far, there's nothing in this, and this is my point. Last point I'll make. There's nothing in this contract that it couldn't have been handled behind doors. It was not such a bombshell that it had to be aired, that dirty laundry had to be aired, and then shit is spread onto everybody, and everybody looks bad. Because at the end of the day, everybody looks bad. I think.
Who do you think looks worse?
Currently, what do you think, Abby? I think I know what you think, but
I think
didn't want
Crowder
to talk
looks
over you.
I think Crowder looks worse. I think that the misleading, because the things that you can accuse Jeremy of are out in the open. The things you can accuse Jeremy of, he read out to you from the contract himself. The things that look bad on Crowder, he tried to hide.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think that some of the things he didn't have to censor or redact in that contract that he did when it came out. If he would have been more open about it, I think more people would have still believed he had a just cause. Instead, he redacted a few things. Any little thing that didn't fully fit his narrative, he redacted, and that just looks really bad. Whether you agree with him or not, at the end of the day, that in and of itself is bad faith. So,
and two things can be true at once. He can be making some important points about how contracts should be and how we need to maybe rethink some of this philosophy. And there may be things that Jeremy should reconsider. I don't know. I'm honestly not a smart enough person to and I don't have the context. Tim Pool and a lot of his guests try to debate some of this on their stream, and all of them kind of agreed that the contract was bad, but they couldn't really come up with a good alternative. And I would love to see a roundtable discussion of all kinds of people in conservative media trying to hash this out and figure out what a better contract would be.
Do you know who looks best in Big Con right now?
Us.
Big Con. The Babylon.
I mean us.
Us, obviously. We're huge. The FBI, yeah.
The FBI looks so good right now.
No, it's the FBI is the left wing and the CIA is the right wing.
That's Ray Epps. Ray Epps looks the best.
No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say the Babylon Bee.
You gotta go into the Capitol.
Yes.
The Babylon Bee looks the best in all this, and they've got a really funny article that Tom sent me that I wanted to bring up. Do you want to read this one, Tom?
Go ahead.
All right. NHL player says if he wanted to support the gays, he'd be playing soccer. Based.
True.
Where does this come from? Exactly.
So in Philadelphia, the Flyers, they have a hockey team, as far as I'm aware. They still play. And they had one guy, Ivan Provorov. That's his last name.
Yeah,
and the guy did not want to wear the gay pride jersey on the gay pride night. He just said, no, thank you. Everyone else was okay with wearing it. He said, I'm good. I'm good on that. And so they had a big problem with it. Media crucified him, supposedly. And then here from Outkick, we learned that the jersey has sold out after the media did so for not wearing the pride-themed jersey. Now his regular season jersey, his home jersey, has been absolutely sold out. You cannot get one. You cannot wear one because it's considered homophobic. So good for you. Go out and get an Ivan Provorov jersey.
Way to sell me. I never thought I would support any other hockey team besides the Red Wings, but now I want one of these jerseys.
I never thought I'd wear an orange jersey, especially one with the Flyers on it. But yeah, that's the one. I think we're gonna have to, chip in.
Yep, I think we need these jerseys. I mean, what a selling point. This goes back to the thing we're always saying. If you stand on your principles, you actually can win in the end. And everybody keeps selling out their principles, trying to win that short-term victory, not offend the wrong people. We see it time and time again. This is the point we made with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis came into Florida, barely beat a crackhead to win. He stood on principles for 4 years, and then he freaking won by 20 points.
Well, that's the other question there. Noble Truth points out he is Russian Orthodox. So if the media can take a shot at anybody, it's going to be a Russian and a Christian in the same one.
Wow, they really got there. It was like this guy was just made for them to criticize.
Like, he's a hockey playing, scoring, not going to sit on the bench.
White Christian Russian hockey player
Anglo-Saxon Christian Reform worshiper.
They couldn't have possibly found a more perfect for their agenda bad guy than this guy. So wow.
Abby,
if it wasn't him, it would have been like Tim Tebow or something. But unluckily for them, he's not in football anymore.
Didn't he try baseball for a while?
It was just like a church.
Yeah, but he gave it up after a couple months.
I thought he was. What's Tim Tebow up to these days?
Unlike his mom, who kept it.
Terrible. Maybe I'm just on Twitter too much, but it all starts to seem like a game after a while. I can't even get properly mad when the left does something ridiculous anymore because it's just so staged.
Yeah,
people were wondering if this whole Jeremy Boring, Steven Crowder thing is staged, which I don't think it is. I think it's just like two guys being emotional online, so it just looks like it could be staged because that's what the left does all the time. But I think it's legit. Sadly.
I can understand people thinking that. I don't think it is.
It briefly crossed my mind that it's like a whole ploy to bring attention to Stephen eventually coming onto the Daily Wire, but
That's like a Kanye West 50 Cent thing where they're like, my record's going to sell more than yours. And he's like, my record's going to sell more than yours. And then they both had like a record sales off and they both set records for sales. And it didn't matter who won because they were both geniuses.
yeah, I don't.
It is interesting to note that for his entire career, Stephen has held to this same standard that was set by Breitbart, which is you don't attack people on your own side. No matter how much you disagree with them, it's more important to fight the left. It's more important to fight your actual enemies than your allies. So you kind of just gloss things over. If you know something, you talk to them behind the scenes, you keep it quiet, but you don't ever air your dirty laundry with your allies. So I find it interesting. This is the one time that Stephen broke his own principle that he preaches on his show consistently. And sorry, where was
Abby's got to go hit the bathroom.
Yeah, I know. That's what threw me off. And he breaks his one principle that he's held on to consistently, but he never did that with Fox News. And he's always talking about how he's got dirt on Fox News, how he could expose Fox News if he wanted to. At the time when every conservative is looking at Fox News and going, yeah, they really are controlled opposition, aren't they? They really do suck, don't they? And we should actually probably move on to different forms of media. He still won't come out against Fox News. I find that interesting.
And he may yet.
He might.
Right? I mean, this is just, he's been in this whirlwind for now for
Maybe
like 48
opened up
hours.
the floodgates. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think like, yeah, it is a principled decision of his to follow what Andrew Breitbart would say, which is don't take shots across the bow for no reason.
Right.
Don't make a splash just to throw someone over the boat, or don't throw someone over just to make a splash. You're supposed to hold the same integrity though as the rest of the people on your side. And so if you see as a person like Steven Crowder is trying to make a business or join one, he's either going to create his own thing or he's going to join one, but he's not going to do the Blaze again. And he's shopping himself out and he's taking offers and he's reviewing things at the end of the summer, going into the fall. And he sees, hey, this is how you guys are running the ship. This is how you guys are doing the Daily Wire. And this is going to be for everyone. Maybe that was a conversation they had. Maybe he's putting a lot of weight into conversations that he had with Jeremy Boring, where he says, hey, Steven, no worries. I'll send you over some initial thoughts. We'll send you over the boilerplate language and we'll get started. And Steven hears that and thinks this is the initial agreement they send everyone, which is kind of what I would take from that. But maybe Jeremy does think of it as just like a terms sheet. Oh, it's just a first draft, a brainstorm, which isn't how anyone in business approaches things. Your first offer is an offer.
Well, I've also made this point too, is when you're talking about young talent, which is a thing that he keeps bringing up, these people are not likely to negotiate a contract or have the ability to negotiate it well. And I know this just from experience. Like I said, this is why I originally thought it was PragerU, just because everybody over there looks like the same person over and over and over again. And I think they could just churn more and more.
Just wearing a smaller and smaller yarmulke, like a Russian stacking doll.
Yeah. Well, no, like even I hate
stack
to say
your
that,
hat when you walk in.
I hate to say it, but even someone like Brett Cooper comes across as like another one of the same faces that we see over and over again, where I think, not to diss on her, but she's like one of those people that you could see being easily replaced. So she's not going to have that ability to negotiate a contract.
Dude, shave my beard and give me a brow job and I can be Brett Cooper.
I'm not dissing her. I'm just saying there is a definite type of young female conservative that gets churned over and over and over again in these. Yeah,
Abby, mark your calendar. Your time's coming.
For what? Menopause? What are we talking about?
Listening to the stream, that's all.
Anyway.
We had another thing, I promise.
Yes, we do. Talking about females that nobody likes. Because we were talking about Abby. Not Brett Cooper. I want to make sure I wasn't attacking her.
Right.
Talking about females that nobody likes. Oh man, I'm sorry. It was too
every
funny.
day I'm attacked on this show.
You're really here just to be a punching bag. This is
it's
the
just every
1950s.
Thursday. It's
Yeah.
not every day.
Yeah,
it's once a week.
When Frank was here, I was
and
like
Wednesdays.
the beloved token female.
When
and
Frank was
now
here, you could be hidden behind the mispronunciations every 5 words.
Oh no. Yeah, but now I'm the punching bag. Now that I'm not one of 4, I'm one of 3. I can math.
You're a bigger part of the show. You're 33.3% repeating.
She's not a speed bag, everybody.
Yeah.
You guys are 66.6%.
Oh shoot.
Hey,
Looks
Look
really
at
bad on us.
Man,
hey,
am
actually,
I
if you
right?
check the contract, we're 70%, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Men.
That's hysterical.
Her brain's a third the size of ours.
77%.
It's science.
It's science.
It's science. We're talking about
Oh
females.
my god, Waffle. Every time he said DiGiorno.
He was really telling you to make him a sandwich. I think that was code, and we never picked up on it. Waffle knew, and Frank's there going, "Is she gonna get this? Is she gonna make me a sandwich?"
Yeah, never did. Never did.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get fired earlier. Talking about females that nobody likes. There's this substitute teacher that's been shared by Libs of TikTok that I wanted to share with you guys. We'll just watch it. I'll let you see what she says.
Is this Greta Thunberg's like hotter sister or something?
Well, any sister she had would be hotter. Let's just. I know you're into the autistic
I'm
dead
teasing.
stare.
These are
but-
both obviously people who have fetal alcoholic syndrome, and we should pity them.
I have my first day as a sub today, and there are many things I would like to talk about, but today I would like to talk about how I am the political unrest that Cedar City needs. So besides the fact that I dyed my hair purple last night and I have 2 visible tattoos, I wrote my pronouns as...
I love how that's become a personality trait. Before she says anything else, she's just like, by the way, if you dye your hair at all or have any tattoos, you're definitely like some kind of left-wing lesbian thing.
Hell yeah, dude. If you have Kool-Aid in your hair and you have tattoos on your arms, you're automatically the trouble of society and a menace to the public.
As if there isn't like tons of people on the opposite side of the political spectrum of her that has tattoos and dyed hair.
This person's
find that really
19 and has never left home before.
She's like, look at what a rebel I am. I put Kool-Aid in the bottom of my hair.
I tried to Kool-Aid a blue streak in my hair once and it only just turned green.
I think
Wow.
nice. I think you should do the rogue thing and have like the white streak.
Yeah.
You check my temples every time I don't pull
I
them
do.
out.
I'm
that.
I'm growing a white streak. It's like all of my gray hairs are like centered right here. So I'm eventually gonna have this nice.
Hey, can
little streak.
we all take a little sidebar to just comment on how great a movie Blue Streak was while we're talking about colored streaks? Let me just say Blue Streak, great movie. You should look it up.
That's the one with Martin Lawrence, right?
It is. Yeah, of course it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Haven't
drugs
seen
and
it
all
in a
that.
long time,
It's in my
yeah.
system. It's in my system. Yeah, he sweats all through the drugs. Yep.
Anyway.
He's a cop, everyone. So you can still back the blue on Blue Streak.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
black
Shiani
cop, so-
up on the board. I was teaching 10th grade, and I told this to all my classes, and it wasn't until the last period where someone was like, what's the second pronoun? And so I explained, I was like, I do she, any pronouns. I do go by any pronouns. She, he, they, it, anything, but I am...
As much as I hate this, I actually would prefer this. I would prefer if all these wacko weirdos just like, I go by anything. You can call me she because that's correct. And you can be an idiot and call me some other thing. And I'll just call her you could call her any name by her own standards and she cannot get mad. I would love this as my substitute teacher.
Is she like ho and ho self? Could you be like,
you could
so
do
ho?
that though.
I'm sorry, I thought you were a ho noun.
You could start calling her anything you want. It's the pronoun I gave you. You're an any, so.
totally okay with you just referring to me as she. And they were
because you are one. Of course you're okay with it.
I'm actually okay if you just call me by my actual name and my actual gender. Believe it or not, in this world, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, what a
surprise.
revolutionary. Have we gone full circle where now the neo pronoun weirdos are like, I'm actually okay with being called the proper pronouns and titles.
Yeah, like it's actually cool
That's
of them to be like,
revolutionary.
guys, I have tattoos and piercings and I'm gay, but I don't make it a big deal. And then everyone's like, whoa, oh boy, big news. Oh boy, big news.
Yeah. Jeez.
confused about it for a minute, and I was like, and you can't misgender me. So don't even think about
Thank you.
Don't even think about trying.
Sorry.
You can't.
You can't
I
do
take
it.
it all.
I do respond to all genders. And this one kid just like looks down and goes, IQ 1000, my guy. Iconic, thank you. And I just realized that my hydro flask is in this video, and that's my I don't care what the Bible says sticker, which I forgot I left up at the front of the classroom when I was in the back office.
Like, besides the fact that it's funny that she's gone full circle, where their ideology is so retarded that they have to like circle back around to just being normal again, and that is revolutionary. Like, why are these people so obsessed with perverting children? Like, in my
They don't
brain, there's
reproduce.
like some.
They gotta do it somehow. They gotta turn out a bunch of little thems. They gotta like
Yeah.
abuse kids in a way that they think will turn people into people like them.
Yeah. It just seems like an
Right,
actual.
Abby? Or what else
demonic
is your
thing.
MO?
Yeah.
What else you guys do?
No comment. Can't tell you these things.
The FBI
obviously.
manual calls for what?
Well, if infiltrate, my assignment is to infiltrate all of the conservative media companies to become friends with all the CEOs, and I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I like this comment from Waffle Salter. Cool AIDS.
Wait, cool spelled with a K. That's like a. I guess it's like not. It's not Newport. That's the opposite. It's be like. Yeah, never.
No, it's just there's
Make a black
something
joke.
like
The blacks are Newports and the whites are cools. So it's
right.
just-
Yep. Or those eagle ones or whatever. Yeah.
Do you mean
So-
American Spirits?
No, those are the hippie ones. I'm talking
Those
about
are
the
additive
cheapo.
free. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
When
the
my dad
hippie-
found them in the car, I said they were addictive free.
What is those cheapo ones that come in the red package with an eagle on them? They're like $1 a pack. They're
Cheyennes?
They're like Newport. No, those are cigarellos. They're like Newports for white people. I can't remember what they're called. I used to when I was training to be a truck driver, the guy I rode with smoked these all the time, and they were like the most terrible smelling cigarettes I've ever been around in my whole life. Anyway, so no, it's just there's something like just demonic about like, hey, my whole job as a teacher is not to go there and teach. It is to pervert children. And they like brag and laugh about this in every one of these videos. I don't know. I don't know.
Abby's sending these tweets from Matt Walsh and from the other dude, Michael Knowles.
Yeah,
I don't know what to think, because the more I see the people coming out to defend Jeremy, the more I'm going, okay, well, one of two things is true then. Either they're all being honest and genuine in their defense of him, and he is correct, and Steven's kind of scummy for doing this, which is possible. Or, also I think possible, maybe less likely, but that they're all just coming out to defend their boss in their moment, and there is more to the story. I honestly don't believe that either of them feels they're in the wrong, which is why this sucks, because they're both going to feel like they need to fight it out and draw blood, and they don't need to do that. But they have, I guess, so they will.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they didn't start tweeting about it like last night when Jeremy did his response. They waited until now when Crowder put out his. I don't know what that means. if
In some
anything.
way, like whether this is optics or reality, right? In some way, when Jeremy put out his response last night, it could have ended there with them looking good and Steven looking mistaken, and everybody could have just taken the little bit of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if that was the calculated, like, hey, look, this is like, we'll fire a shot across the bow, and maybe we'll see if we can all just walk away a little bit harmed, but not like go into this full scale war. And now it seems like that's kind of gone.
Yeah, Steven put his other fist on the table, and that kind of, now you're locked in. I'll say Mr. DJ is on Rumble with a very kind topping off a 5, saying, so making it a full 5 for the night. When it comes to disputing behind the scenes, pretty sure open discourse is one of our biggest wants as an audience. Don't know what's going on with Crowder and others. That's a good point that I think we three should keep in mind too in the future. Any disputes behind the scenes, maybe people want to know about them. We should just be airing it out like a Thursday Night Raw. Maybe have a SmackDown. We can.
Yeah, like I don't like Tom. I'm just kidding.
It's out there, guys. It's out
there. Just so you guys know, we just pretend to be friends for the stream.
Yeah,
That's sad.
Oh, I like Tom. I like Tom and his chickens and his cats.
And his wife was
guys
really
know-
nice too. His wife was really nice too. Yeah.
And his wife.
I'll have you know, Abby only texted things about like, oh, how cute and sweet your wife is, but the fact that she didn't just mention her, man, I could jump on that.
Yeah. Why don't you say anything nice about my wife? She's in the other
the
room.
chickens
She's
and the cats.
offended
And
right
I didn't
now.
even put you up here. You slept at that place.
Okay.
Is it because she's Mexican? Is that what
Everybody,
it is, Abby?
shut up for a second. Tom is basically Dr. Doolittle, and it's adorable.
Yep.
And
I have
his
all the
wife's
animals.
adorable.
They all
But
love
the
me.
thing that stood out to me was the animals.
Yep.
because I had no complaints about his wife or his animals.
Look what you started in the chat. No one likes Tom. What? Banned from the show. But you're not wrong.
Waffle thinks I would win in a cage match.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep it going. All right.
And I
Piling
love
on.
TJ's wife and his kids and his dog and his
Now
bunny
that's
rabbit.
no.
See, now I know you're lying because my dog is obnoxious.
Now that's a cage match we'd all like to see.
Oh, man.
What I loved most about PJ's dog was my husband wrestling PJ's dog.
For like
That's
4
that's
days
funny.
in a row.
6079 Smith West. Thank you for your address. Says minor celebrity death match.
Niche internet celebrity death match. Yeah,
I love it so much.
I like it.
Oh man, those claymation videos, celebrity death match was some of the funnest TV you could watch in middle school
gonna say-
sleepovers.
Do we have any claymation experts in chat? Oh man. Maybe we could get somebody to make a meme of us as people from Celebrity Deathmatch.
Tom
Really
W
funny.
in the chat says Tom's name is badass. Can't argue with that. I mean, when he's right, you know? You can't argue with that.
He's right. Well, do you guys think that NBC is right? We can just end it there. No. With this new article that says Donald Trump prepares for his return to Facebook and Twitter. And without reading through the whole article, what it says in the beginning is that Donald Trump's team has petitioned Facebook to allow the Trump team to come back to Facebook. And from that, when I read it, I was like, oh, there must be some indication he's going to be on Twitter. From that, they go into anonymous source says that Trump will return to Twitter. And that's about it. Like, they're kind of making that assumption. What do you guys think is going to happen here? First of all, do you think Facebook will ever let him back on? And second of all, do you think he's coming back to Twitter?
I'll believe it when I see it. Like,
Right.
The rumors have been abounding forever.
Right.
He's coming back. He's coming back. What if he comes back? What is he going to say? What is he going to do? Like, I don't care. I don't care. If he comes back, I'm muting him. I'm just saying that right now.
Seriously?
I remember when I joined Twitter and I followed Trump, and it was like so much. It was so much. He tweeted so much craziness.
That's the
all
point.
the
That's why everyone
time.
went to Twitter. It was like Twitter featuring Donald Trump. That was the whole thing. It was like a daily stand-up of him just saying and doing whatever.
I think it was
Great.
the Donald Trump feed featuring a few other people.
Yeah, it made him president. We forget.
Right.
It's true. Oh,
I'm just waiting for the
Love you,
second.
Donald.
I'm waiting for the second coffee table book of mean tweets. So we've got the first one. I don't remember who wrote it. I'm waiting for mean tweets 24, the coffee table book. Yeah.
Yeah, how about mean tweets and hard truths?
Yeah.
And then it's all of his truths, you know?
I like it.
Little help there on the marketing. It's like a
About
crack
Trump.
addict staring at some crack rocks, trying to hold off as long as he can. Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
Ooh, can I get some of that tweet?
I'm surprised he stayed off Twitter this long. What I think, well, first of all, what are your thoughts, Tom?
I
You
don't think
coming
he's-
back.
I think what they're doing, the whole news thing is being blown out of proportion because his team from the campaign wants their accounts back on Twitter and Facebook unfettered, so that when they go to make a major announcement or a big post all at once, they don't have the authentication. Hang on, you haven't used this in a while. Those kinds of things. They want to make sure that their accounts are active, which means Team Trump at Team Trump on Facebook, at Team Trump on YouTube and Twitter. They want those accounts back. I think the news is going to spin that to be, well, shoot, campaign for Trump becoming active. That's not a good sign for us. What could be a good sign is Donald Trump himself begging to come back on big tech.
Right.
That sounds a lot better. Let's run with that version of it. And that's what we're getting. And
Right.
I sent you the article. You don't have to pull it up, but from HuffPost, their headline says of Trump's political speech today, Trump giving political speech to Judicial Watch, the group run by Tom Fitton, which isn't supposed to do politics. They're so mad. Look at how upset they are that Donald Trump's not talking to them, a media company, and he's instead talking to a judicial watchdog, which is just
Right.
funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I think at the end of the day, Trump's going to have his cake and eat it too. And this is what I think. He's going to stay on Truth Social to continue to prop that up. His team will get onto Twitter and start using Twitter on his behalf and essentially just taking all of his truths and putting them back on Twitter so he can stay kind of on Twitter, but not. But then again, my thought here is that enough for Trump when his favorite thing is to do, be the reply guy? You know what I mean? To like
or maybe he
retweet
just-
people and
maybe he will do a truth and post his truth as a photo, like a screenshot cropped in, and then
Right.
make that an image document that he shares via tweet, or will otherwise retweet things. So it'll never
Right.
be him typing into a Twitter field
Right.
any of the characters. It'll just be him reposting or reusing that horn, so to speak.
Right. Well, that's my thought is like the Trump team is on Twitter because I can't see running a presidential candidate, presidential run right now without the use of something like Twitter.
Dude, I don't see him running the way that he ran before twice. Like, and I'm the biggest Trump guy in the room, but I'll also say, like, he can't do the rallies like he was every other day and 2 on Sundays the way he was before. I don't want him to. I want him to be a little bit more or less, needing it. Like, I need him to kind of sit back and be the age he is and say, put me in, coach, instead of, demanding that everyone see how good he is. We already know. We know twice over.
Well, he could go with the tried and true tactic of the Biden strategy and just like hang out in his basement for 2 years.
Yes. Now
See
I'm
if
with
that
you.
works.
Pay off
I
the
do
media.
wonder. I do wonder though, like how much Trump would benefit from being a little bit mysterious coming into 2024. Like people haven't really heard from this guy much, and like there's a little bit less to criticize him for. Like everybody knows who Trump is, everybody knows he's running, but if he's not out there as much, maybe that actually would be a better strategy. I don't know. I mean, like legitimately, as much as I think the whole 2020 election was a sham, legitimately Biden benefited from not being in front of the cameras because he would put his foot in his mouth every 5 seconds. I still haven't got my Batacathca or my Trinidad pressure.
Wait, you didn't get your Trinidad pressure?
I did not. I have not seen them mobilize on Trinidad.
Better check your mailbox.
Oh, okay.
Should have gotten that last year.
Ah, shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
only-
still waiting
It
on
came with those
Batacathca.
$2,000 in total checks he was sending out. Oh wait, I meant not that. Now that I'm in, I'm not giving you that money.
Right. What were you gonna say, Abby?
Oh, I was gonna say only pretty people get Batacafta.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That would make sense.
That's why Tom and I got it, but you didn't.
Barack
That would make
America?
sense. Barack America. Yeah, well, Barack America did campaign to all 57 states, so
No,
a
he
real
said
quote, by the way.
No, he said 52, right? He's like, went to 52 different United States. Oh, that in 52 states. Didn't he say 52? Or
was
was
it
it
52 or 57?
He
It
might
was
have said
one of
both.
those.
Let's see. Biden, 52 states.
It was Obama.
Oh, well, Biden said something dumb recently. Like, Biden said 54 states.
Oh, here it is. But the video
Joe Biden
says it-
claims during speech that he campaigned in 54 states. Yeah, like a state of delusion.
Here we go. I found the video. It's over on the hill. If it'll play, the last one I pulled up wouldn't play. Let's see.
People of both parties and people who don't have a party affiliation should be concerned with our current course, should be concerned about the basic institutions of our democracy, should want to see a restoration of honesty and decency and lawfulness to our government.
Get to the line.
And
Damn,
should
I hate
want
this guy
to
so
see
much.
Yeah.
Some sort of checks and balances on what's happening right now.
Okay, why did it say that this was the clip? Hold on. Because I clicked on the other one from Reuters and it says, I've now been to all 57 states, but the video, anyway, it was 57 is my point.
You are fake news. You are
Yeah,
fake
yeah.
news. You are fake news.
Oh, wrong one.
Come on. Just for old time's sake.
Yeah.
Feel gay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, man, alive.
You are fake news.
There we
There
go.
you go. There we go.
Yeah, I got it somewhere over here.
Speaking of tweets, Jesse
deal.
O'Donnell from The Blaze, just like my tweet saying Steven Crowder is a little bitch, changed my mind.
You say Rosie O'Donnell liked your tweet?
Jessica
That's how you- that's
O'Donnell
how you know you
from The
messed up.
Blaze.
Oh, man. I wish I had Twitter so I could just say, like, I don't think that. I like all of the people involved, please, just for the future reference. In case anyone's looking at this later, I don't take sides.
Honestly, I felt like that was the biggest shock is that Crowder didn't come out against the Blaze because when he said, I can't stay silent anymore, I thought that's what he was talking about.
It's like roast Glenn Beck's hating ass. Get him. Get that guy who said 9/11 wasn't an inside job after he made a career on saying it was.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, I think he wanted to go after the Blaze, but he can't because of whatever NDA he signed on his way out the door. So he picked somebody else to go after.
Another Blaze bimbo disregard of your Jesse O'Donnell.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is.
I
That's
don't
the
either.
whole thing. That's the thing I was saying about the Blaze the other day is how is it that if you watch any of these other networks like the Daily Wire, you'll know if you watch one show, you know who all the hosts are. If you watch like 3 shows from the Blaze and you watch them every day, you will have no idea who anybody else on the Blaze is. They're absolutely by far, and I'm not trying to diss on the Blaze as a whole. There's good hosts over there. But like as a whole, the network makes no sense. You have no idea who's on it.
I have toured the Blaze studios and I have no idea who is on the Blaze.
I don't think half the hosts on the Blaze know who the other hosts on the Blaze are.
Facts.
Yeah, they're like, that
Facts.
guy works here?
I wonder if that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a super chat over here from or a Rumble rant. I got to say this right. A Rumble rant over here from Waffle Stelter. I want my true international under pressure. Cheers.
Cheers to the true international Shabbat pressure. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
It's a tough thing to say. It's even harder thing to spell. So well done. True international.
That was pretty good. Yeah, that was
Right
pretty
on.
good. True international depression.
I wonder if that's what I was wondering what Waffle Salter does for a living, and I was thinking maybe he does write Joe Biden speeches, and now we see proof positive.
Yep.
Am
He
I
wrote that
wrong,
in
or is it basically true international depressure?
So I
thought
had
it was
a
a
lot
true international coalition of pressure.
when
True
I
international depression.
Well,
When I
it's
made-
also that.
when I made my first viral TikTok, I got there by watching that video for 5 minutes straight over and over and over and over and slowing it down, trying to get each syllable correct so I could say it exactly the way he did. And it's pretty much true internation of a depressure. That's basically what it is.
Say it one more time.
True internation of a depressure.
True international of pressure.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it so many times, and then I got that comment on the video a bunch, like, "How did you get that right?" I'm like, I literally watched that video over and over and over, and like,
You're like,
slowed
I
it
spent
down.
5 minutes. I spent 5 minutes and listened with my brain. And
Yeah,
they're like, how
I
did
just
you
watched
do
it a
that?
ton of times. Yeah, it's just like,
How did Joe
syllable for
Biden
syllable.
do it is the bigger question. Jesus Lord.
I know.
And by the way,
Oh.
we should be telling people thank you for going over to the Last American Pubcast Rumble account, because geez Louise, we have 50 or more people watching over there, which is a lot to say that we have any people watching on Rumble, but more than 50 for only having 300 subs. Goddamn. So hit the
Yeah, you
like
guys are
button
awesome.
again, then also hit the subscribe button. And if you're not subscribed on Rumble, then do your part to go subscribe on Rumble, even just to boost a number. If that's not what you use, that's fine. But go to do that on Odyssey and on Rumble and on YouTube and on all the other links that we have listed in descriptions below.
Yeah. Also, thank you guys for coming out on Thursday. I know you guys are used to Saturdays, so let us know what you think of the new night and time. If it works,
If you
better for
like
guys.
it, if you don't like,
like
it, then
it.
don't tell us, because we're not going to change
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah. So we figured out what Waffle Salter does. He wrote the code for Biden's second lizard suit while he was
Oh.
drunk during a pubcast.
That makes so much sense.
Makes so
To
much
be
sense.
honest, that actually fits. I think that fits.
That is, if I had to decide, when I was thinking in my head, what does Waffle Salter do for a living? I was like, he probably designs Joe Biden's lizard suits. So
I have so much headcanon about Waffle Salter. Like I have so many fun theories about his crazy backstory, and now he just like I think he's retired, and he's like, which fun little podcasters can I support with my super chats? I love it.
I'm more
Yeah,
curious
Waffle
about where
Salter's
his
the bomb.
name comes from. Like, does he salt waffles, or is he like hinting at German ancestry? Like, what's going on?
Is it? I thought it was a reference to salty cracker.
that's what I thought.
But we don't know. Yeah,
We
it's
don't
part
know.
of the lore. Part of the lore.
Yeah, it's part of the lore. You guys in the chat, make up your own lore for Waffle Salter, and whatever
Yeah.
the best lore is by the end of the night, that's what we're going with for the rest of forever.
Yeah,
So
we don't actually want to know the truth. We just want to tell ourselves
We're-
stories.
make a whole unhinged episode of Conspiracy Pilled about Waffle
Stay
Salter
mysterious, waffle.
lore. Yeah.
Don't tell us.
So, you know what else is mysterious is what everybody else is saying during COVID when you're deaf. as this woman found out.
Dude, as someone who kind of needs a little bit to read lips in order to totally make out what people are saying sometimes, I completely understand what you're
Yeah, so this woman, she was sued for $180,000 from a Minnesota hospital that fired her for being deaf because she couldn't read people's lips while they were wearing masks. That happened.
If you're deaf and you need to be able to look at people's lips in order to understand what they're saying, because you can only hear like 30% of what they're saying, you can kind of make it out, but without seeing the lips move and the facial features, it's impossible. But with that, you can. Great. It's like if you look across the room and someone's mouthing something at you, you know what they're saying, but you don't hear them at all.
Right.
That is the thing that she's saying. She has gotten a small little impairment. It's just didn't align with the current thing of 2020, which was
that's what's funny. Apparently deaf people rank much lower on the hierarchy than the COVIDiot mask pushers. But I find this funny because this is like obviously one small niche case, but it points to a greater truth that we've all kind of known, a lot of people have ignored for the last few years, and that is the fact that everybody needs to see people's faces, and children especially. And we've seen this huge drop off in education for years now because kids are trying to learn how to speak properly, and they're developing speech impediments and all these other issues. Just the emotional factor for children too, they've shown. And they can't see that because their teachers are covering their faces all day, and the kids are covering their faces all day. So sorry, what were you going to say, Tom?
Nothing. I was just signing that I know just a little bit of sign language.
Can you do that again for the deaf people?
Nope, just in case it was wrong. I don't want to do it again.
I think I saw a middle finger in there or something like that.
No, it's that you open your book and then you take out from the book the language, you put it right in your head, and then you do I learned, that's learned, and then this is signed.
Oh, wow. He wasn't even joking. He actually does know a little bit of sign language.
Hey, Abby, don't swear at me like that.
Yeah, come on,
bitch.
Why'd you have to say that about my mother?
No.
My mother watches this show.
I literally know
Abby.
enough to say I learned some sign language, and that's it. So I hope that we don't know any more ASL.
My pastor, when I was growing up, adopted a little deaf girl, but then she got surgery to.
She got better.
Yeah, she got cochlear. She was adopted from India. And so they didn't know when they adopted her whether or not she'd be able to have cochlear implants, which would allow her to hear. She was. So a lot of us learned sign language for her, and then within a couple of years, it was just like, oh. And so
then you got mad at her. She's like, "Wow, look what you made me do."
Yeah,
made me learn sign language, and now you don't.
Yeah, how dare you?
You came up
What a terrible.
Cupped her by the head a couple times. And just, oh. Just
what a terrible person.
So,
yeah.
What a terrible human being to do that to you. I'm sorry, Abby. Yeah. Sorry you had to go
made
through
you
that.
learn a language that made you smarter.
Yeah, come on.
I love the concept of sign, but I hate how hard the deaf community pushes to be this to try to break into the minority victimhood group. It's like, you guys are so cool and you have such a cool language. Don't do this to me.
Oh, and like when they go to an EDM concert, like it's even cooler for them because that's finally when they're like, don't need the headphones, like don't need the earplugs at all. They're just like feeling it all.
Feeling it through the floor.
Yep. Those deaf people have everything. God
yeah. They have,
if only
I wish people who were minorities would just enjoy the ways that
go away is what Abby was trying to say.
Enjoy,
I wish they would just be deaf.
Enjoy the ways that they're different.
Right.
Live their lives. Nobody else gets to make their problems and their inconveniences somebody else's problem.
Well, that's the whole. We've developed a whole society of that.
Yeah, they do. It's everyone.
It's everyone
the only
now.
people that don't get to are us three.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to push for a community of people whose hair grows in all white trashy like this. We're in the minority. The Joe Dirts of the world are in the minority here. And you know,
oh my Lord.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's dear to you.
Hurts.
It's dear to
As a conservative woman, I'm just lumped in with white men, so
you're essentially.
One of my tweets made it over to feminists.
But still like half as important as actual white men.
3/5.
Feminist
okay, 3/5 is fair.
Feminist Instagram decided I was defending marital rape, so I got tagged a bunch in a tweet screenshot. And I was like,
in the same week, you're defending marital rape and silencing Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Through your use of Instagram. Gosh, maybe 2/5 is better. Yeah.
Oh man, feminist.
I don't even know what that is.
talking about feminists, that's perfect segue to this next one. Is there?
Thank God we had another thing.
There's this app called Flow app, which will just
Oh God,
that's its own thing. That's its own thing apparently. But they have this tweet that went out that said, "Hi there, we aim to support everyone with periods regardless of their gender," which you think would be a certain, like when you hear that story, you think, okay, so what they're saying obviously is women who are mentally disabled and think they're men. Women who, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what you think. You'd be wrong. What they've gone to is they actually are defending men who believe they're women who don't have periods and want to be creepy on their app to other women. And they've gone to extreme lengths to do this. So if you look at what happened.
Wait. Can I just be sure? I want to make sure I understand, because either I heard you backwards, or so this is not them defending like actual physical women who pretend to be men, and then they can say, "Oh, men have periods because I have one."
This is actual, the original. The original.
This is like you and
that.
I pretending we're ladies and then talking about periods.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gross.
So
okay. Continue.
It started off as, well, men can have periods too, and we're an app that tracks your flow, and there's a chat app. Okay,
dude. The only
Abby,
time I ever
why
the
are
only
women
time I
so
feel
weird?
like I have a period is when I have chili twice in one day, and then I'm like, oh my God, am I bleeding?
Why are women so weird? Like, I just can't wrap my head around the idea of having an app where I've got this private chat to talk with other women about my flow.
You guys are too sharing.
Too much. TMI.
This is one of those things I can't explain to you because
Thank
I have
you.
never understoed this about women.
I thought you were going to say it's innate. We can't explain it. It's like, could we go to the bathroom as a group?
This is going to the bathroom as a group on steroids, though.
I understand why women would use the tracking apps to try to predict when it's going to come so we don't bleed through our clothes. But
that makes sense.
I don't understand.
Which apparently is
about it.
Yeah,
right. Apparently,
Abby, explain it.
Apparently, this is a tracking app for that reason. So, like, on that end, I get it. It's weird. I don't want to hear about it ever because I'm a man. But, like, I get it, right? And then the fact that there's a chat feature to this is what I don't get. So, if we look at what Allie Beth Stuckey has said about this,
oh Lord,
she tweeted out,
"Are they logging in with their coffee? Like, geez, heavy flow this morning, guys. How about you? Like, are they just like talking about it like that?"
We should just do a whole segment of an episode where we're just reading through the chat. Because me and Tom we can get on the Flow app as men.
Oh, dude, we could so get on the Flow app.
Oh no.
So the tweet from Flow app is, "Hi there. We aim to support everyone with periods regardless of gender." Abby or Allie says, "Trans women don't have periods, so blocked." Blocked for saying that. But yeah, that apparently is the issue here, is that there's a lot of women on this Flow app who are finding out that these people who are having creepy conversations with them, that I don't understand why you want the creepy conversation in the first place. I don't even feel like there's a victim here, to be honest. Like, truth is the victim, but I have a hard time feeling sorry for women who are like, let's talk about our bleeding cycles with each other.
Decency is the victim
random
here,
people.
BJ, you're
Decency
right.
is the victim
decency
here.
that's what's at stake here.
The only thing I can think of is if they're also trying to track their fertility and trying to talk to other people who are struggling with their fertility. I could understand that,
is that
a little bit more. I think
bears.
it's going to be dumb to talk to random strangers about deeply personal things anyways.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I met you guys.
I know, like that used to be talked about, like, hey, women, be careful of strangers you meet on the internet. Also, divulge explicit weird details about your life to strangers on the internet. I don't know, but yeah, here's like an example of what she was talking about. So we've got this from the app here. "I'm a trans woman. I use she, her pronouns. Lately, I've been feeling more like a she, they. I came out to my family." Like, this has something to do with periods, I guess. "I'm a trans woman and I don't use the women's restroom. And I use the women's restroom. I didn't in the beginning because I was just scared, and it's just this whole thing. Like, there's all these people that are sneaking into these chats. It reminds me of Dylan Mulvaney with the whole, like, I'm a woman now, so I carry tampons."
Oh my God.
Oh, wait. Okay. No, I don't want to like throw everyone for a loop, but did you see the frozen tomato paste inserts that men were using to simulate?
Somebody said that in the chat earlier, and I thought they were joking.
Yeah. No, it's a real deal.
Waffle Stelter.
I didn't do a thing about it.
Doesn't visit men with tomato juice.
Yeah. So it's tomato juice frozen inserts. Frozen insert.
This brings me back to the feeling that majority of transhood is is genuine misogyny, genuine hatred of women, genuine trying to like everything that any feminist has ever said about men being bad and misogynistic, I think can actually truthfully be applied to trans women.
Right. Yeah.
Trans women.
I mean, they are, right? Like, this goes back to what we were talking about last week, is all the things that these new age feminists are supporting is like some form of what they're always fighting against, supposedly, is like this oppressive patriarchy. We're going to fight the patriarchy by having sex with random men that pay us to have sex with them, because that's going to show them, or showing our tits on the internet, or letting men dominate our sports, or letting men dominate our women's only spaces. It's really weird because like they're so like all they ever talk about is the patriarchy, and then guess who they themselves want to dominate their spaces.
Yeah, I like what you both are pointing out, that it ends up becoming misogynistic. But what I'm afraid of is that your perspective is inherently sexist because you're only seeing that from the perspective of misogyny winning, and I think that's very problematic.
I love how you did that with a straight face.
Abby's like, wait, that almost made sense. That can almost be published on the left.
That's a HuffPo piece now.
Wait, you can't. Yeah, it is.
Can we transcribe that and put that on HuffPo?
Criticisms of feminism from the perspective of the misogynist themselves are coming from a place of the premise being that misogyny is the hierarchy. You're already coming from a patriarchal perspective.
What I'm taking away from all of this is that
don't take away. That's
what I'm taking away from all this is that women just actually do want to be controlled by men. So,
Abby,
there we go.
To the person who defends marital rape, do you want to be controlled by men?
I don't.
Seeing a pattern.
You're joking, but
I'm not.
candidly,
I'm actually making an alignment here. I'm like, hey, I see dots. They connect.
I never want to be the most masculine person in the room. And if
I actually wasn't joking, I was kind of half joking, but I wasn't really.
Sure.
I have a really strong personality. I do not want to be the strongest one in the room. I appreciate when men are bigger than me. I'm not going to shrink myself. I will not shrink myself, but I do prefer that men are bigger than me.
Right. Yeah. But that's
like
kind of my
Mouse.
point. It's like, jokes aside, even these feminists realize that there is something to a patriarchal system that is good.
Yeah, like the fact that they can complain under it, and at the end of the day, they can go home to a house.
Right.
I don't. There have been times when, like, I don't want to be in charge, but if there's nobody competent in the room, I'll do it. And I think that that's what Deborah does in the Old Testament. And I'm not comparing myself to Deborah, but she doesn't step up because she's this like girl power person. She steps up and leads the army in the Old Testament because the man is too chicken shit to do it.
It says something more about the men in her time than her.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
She's
and I've said this a lot about female politicians, where it says more about their husbands. Like when we see these stories of like Marjorie Taylor Greene and her husband and all this drama, I'm like, her husband didn't wear the pants in that family and he should have. So like I can see some issues from the beginning. Sorry, I'm just saying it, but it's just true.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I need to go have a conversation with my wife.
Can I have my pants back?
Hey, I need my pants.
This is why you only see Tom
Next
from
Thursday,
here
I need
up.
my pants.
His wife has his pants. We're reaching the end of this 2
I don't wear
hours
pants in this house.
No. Didn't wear them when we were there. He's just like, eh.
I'm like, hey, this is Donald Duck
weird,
property.
but-
Come on in. Quack, quack. You just wear a hat and a shirt. That's it. Come on in.
Oh, man. I just want to read your guys' Rumble rants before we end this show. Waffle Salter, Unthirsty Thirsty Thursday. Cheers. Thank you, Waffle Salter. We had some super chats from Mr. DJS. Do we want to read those again? And one more, because they're long and I'm lazy. But thank you, Mr. DJS. And thank you, Waffle Salter, for True Internation of a Depressure and for spelling it for us and letting us know how that is spelled. Do we have any waffle lore in the chat that we wanted to cement our beliefs on who Waffle Salter is and then just stick with that for all time?
While you dig for it, if there is any. On Odyssey, there was one little hyper chat that came over from Mr. Blankets. We appreciate it. Saying, darn, I thought Tom would post this on his channel. Nope. This is the new year. So we have the stream going out on the streams platforms, on the streams channels. So that's the Last American Pubcast channel on Rumble, on Odyssey, and on YouTube. We are done doing the splitting and trying to grow. At this point, we're just running with what we got.
Yeah.
Let's grow those at this point. If you're listening to this on Rumble or on Odyssey or on YouTube, go to the other two that you're not on and subscribe.
Yeah. So I hate to be a purple haired tattooed feminist substitute teacher and come in and confuse you and give you homework, but I'm not seeing any waffle lore. And I think, give you guys a week, come back
Creative
next
writing
Thursday.
prompt.
Yep, we'll put a prompt in the chat, and we'll collect our waffle lore next week. So you have a whole week to dig, do some deep research and thought, and come up with some waffle salter lore, and then we're just sticking with it. That's my thought. Do you have anything else to say, Abby?
I think this isn't even lore. This is just the truth. So back in the old days in the Renaissance, artists had patrons. Artists had patrons. Artists had people who believed in them and supported them in whatever way that the patrons could. And that's what Waffle is. He's a patron of the podcasts. And
The patron saint.
Yes, I deeply appreciate it.
Last American Podcast. Yeah, thank you, Waffle. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you for your Rumble rants. Thank you for showing up on our new Thursday night time. We will see you guys next Thursday. Have a great week, everyone. God bless.